Boba Fett is a cold-blooded killer who works for the Empire.
That is a work in progress.
Oh, that was great. Welcome back to the Star Wars
man.
Guys podcast. We are here to. My heart.
We
my
couldn't
heart
even wait till
couldn't
tonight.
wait.
Literally
Couldn't wait. If you guys are watching, we are. Well, this is what the Hothcast, as we were saying, the Hothcast, because some inclement weather is headed towards. Well, it's currently in St. Louis, and more is coming our way. So we tried to beat the majority of the snow, come together. Record this so that we're not bunkered in here and have a wampa come through the wall and get us.
And never
we
leave.
tried to beat that. But we are your hosts. As always, I'm Mike. This is Nate. You know him well, Uncle. And we're here to talk about the Book of Boba Fett, Chapter 6. That's the first breath I've taken all day today since I saw it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. From the desert.
From the desert.
Stranger.
Comes a stranger.
Comes a stranger.
Andy Dufresne.
Hence the terrible impression.
I said it sounds a little bit like Morgan Freeman.
The Cad
Without
Bane
the
voice.
accent, Without the accent.
Yeah.
You know, Boba Fett was a cold-blooded killer in Shawshank Prison in 1945. Andy Dufresne.
Oh, Cad Bane.
Oh, man.
Well, Boba had a walk and a talk about him that reminded me of
Tall drink of water.
tall drink of water.
Drink of water.
Get busy living,
Oh
or
my
get
God.
busy
Hey,
living in Moss Pelgo.
Get busy.
We'll get to some Cad
Oh,
Bane
boy.
at some point. Obviously,
Why was he in this?
spoilers.
Just kidding.
Obviously, if you haven't seen the episode,
Get out of here
it's too late.
or stay. We want the views.
Go watch the episode, come back. But this will be spoiler heavy. We always encourage our viewers to chat with us and engage with us live on the podcast, Star Wars Guys show as well. So feel free to chat in the comments. We're monitoring the comments, and we'll include any questions, your thoughts on certain moments throughout the episode. We'll jump in and get to those. And if we don't address them immediately, that might be because someone's in the middle of making a point or something, and we're kind of waiting.
Or we don't like the question.
Or we don't like the question. One of the two.
No, I'm just kidding.
There's no such thing as
No.
a dumb question.
No such
We
thing.
welcome
We
them.
try to include it, everybody. So let's dive into this episode. There's a lot to cover in this. Lately we've been starting out with an overall take. Do we have?
I think
go around?
Mike just summed it up.
That's
It's insane.
That's it. It's just insane. So to give a little context as far as us discussing it right here,
Sure.
you two guys watched the episode this morning together. I did not make it over
Yeah.
during the first wave of snow. Let's throw it to Uncle first. Just overall thoughts. Although you were just pointing, so
I was
that
just
could
pointing
mean something
because
else.
Nate's second viewing was today
Yes,
at 9.
that was my
Oh.
second viewing.
First viewing was at 3
When it
o'clock
dropped
in the morning.
at
or
2 in the
2 o'clock,
morning.
2 o'clock in the morning.
Well, we heard the storm was coming through. I
Right.
wasn't sure if I'd be going into the office or not. What the day was going to look like. So I was like, I gotta watch it now just in case.
I do think it's funny. I'm not sure if I'm going to the office, but I'll be up at 2 o'clock in the morning.
just in case. Yeah.
Just
to
in
watch.
case.
No,
I
I'm
woke
with
up
you.
at 5 this
I'm with
morning
you.
and watched.
But
Yeah.
I looked outside, nothing was on the ground yet, so I was like,
I better watch it.
I
And
better
then,
watch it.
Yeah, makes sense.
Plus, lately, the last few weeks, I've been trying to get at least 2 viewings in the
Me-
day of,
Yeah.
so that the first time I can just take it all in, not worry about it, just take it for what it is.
Second time's
Second viewing,
homework.
I can take some
Yeah,
notes.
yeah, I do that
Trying to
too.
be better about it.
Yeah.
I do
so.
that too. Okay.
Overall thoughts. What's
it was like, what is happening? Like,
What show are we watching?
so so we're coming in. We start with I mean, there's so many things about it. Like, oh, okay, Cobb Vanth. Okay, this is cool. I see it. Whole spice thing. Love it.
Yes.
And then Mando takes over again, and we're watching, droid ants building a building this
Jedi
Jedi
temple, or-
thing. It's like, oh
Yeah,
my
what
goodness,
in the
and
world?
R2's there, and then
R2.
holy cow, who else? That was unbelievable.
I think this right here, that was a small glimpse of what our whole podcast is going to be
It's
like.
just
It's
be
just
one
like
thing.
a running of like
Go
all
back
the
to
amazing
that.
things
What
that
was
happened.
this?
It's
Yeah.
like, and then I did this, and then I
Might jump
and then I went,
all around.
what? I didn't see that
What
come.
am I-
What? They're here, and then Ahsoka. I
think-
think Cad Bane. Ah!
I think
And
for
it just explodes like the Sanctuary, which hopefully Max Rebo had the night off.
Yeah.
They
I
did not
hope
show
so.
him. If
they
you
didn't
noticed.
show him. I was
They
looking
No,
for
he's
him.
not
did,
there.
I was
especially
looking
on the
for
second viewing. I was looking that they showed intentionally
Yeah.
some of the band members, and they did not show
Did not
Max.
show
So
Max.
hopefully,
Right.
Yeah.
hopefully hit the road, Max.
Doesn't sound
Last
like
time
they'll
it
be-
was hit it, Max, and then he starts playing. Hopefully, Garza said, "Hit the road, Max," and he got out of there before the
But
bomb.
there will be
came.
no more flash dancing.
No more flash
No.
dancing.
Going
There'll be
on
no
at
more
the,
flash dancing.
No.
It's unfortunate. He was a maniac.
He was a maniac
Maniac
on the floor,
On the floor.
and he will sing.
Dancing
He'll
nevermore.
dance and like never danced before. Sing. I don't know what's going on. Oh my
Wow.
gosh. Yeah. It's-
Get the ice cream maker again. Hold on.
Yeah.
So overall thoughts.
Overall
was
thoughts.
Just like you said, just
I
craziness.
think
trying
the
to
first
catch.
thing I thought was your question is when will we ever stop underestimating what they will or could do? Anything's on the table.
Anything's on
Yeah.
the table.
We can't. I still can't think in terms of TV show movie.
Yeah.
It's not in it. It has nothing to do with it anymore.
Because going back just
I made
this
a
is what's
bold claim.
crazy.
For this.
Yeah.
one.
This is what's crazy is going back just a couple of years ago. Just 2 years ago.
Or even
We get
possible.
the famous and we kind of gave him a little bit of a that might have been back in the days of Just Me and Nate of giving John Boyega a little bit of a hard time for it. You ain't going to Disney Plus me, mate. Like, you're not going to do that. Like,
Right.
that's
Right.
beneath me. Except that Disney Plus and Book of Boba Fett has been the number one thing trending all day,
Mhm.
all night last night as
Yep.
everyone was getting excited knowing that Dave Filoni directed this episode. Everyone's speculating who's going to be in this, who's going to be in
You're
this.
telling me if,
And then this is the number one thing in the world
Yeah.
talked about today. Turns out being Disney Plus ain't too bad.
Yeah.
you're telling me if John Boyega, if they offered him a continued story of his journey becoming a Jedi with the Force as a show, he wouldn't take it. Come on.
Right. So you can't
Come
blame him
on.
though.
You can't blame.
That's
It had
true.
never
He
been
didn't
done.
know. He
There's
didn't
still
know.
a part of
Yeah.
me that's thinking movies, TV
That's
shows.
true.
Same. Yeah.
It's
That's
hard
true.
to get into that place
is.
where
They're proving it though. They're proving
well, it's
there's
driving more
it's a-
revenue in 1 year
Yeah.
than
It's just it's crazy.
But I just mean
I
even
mean,
with
it's
the technology.
I
and
know.
the
how
scale of it, yeah.
The scale. They're proving
the
it's
scale of it very much does not seem
No.
a step down.
No.
Well, not even that. Just also the creative team behind it. Not just even Favreau and Filoni, but you get the Bryce Dallas Howards. You get Robert Rodriguez. You get these very successful people from both an acting standpoint and a directing standpoint
right.
that are attached to these. Deborah Chow getting her entire
Yeah.
own show now with the Obi-Wan Kenobi show.
Mm-hmm.
It's like these are not small hitting. I mean, Bryce Dallas Howard is known much more as an actor,
Mhm.
obviously, before she started doing the Mandalorian episodes, but she literally is Hollywood royalty, comes from the family of Ron Howard.
Right.
who,
Yeah.
very few people. He's forgotten more about film than we've ever
That's
known.
right.
Sure.
So if it's not
Ron Howard's highest grossing film was
Solo.
yeah, that's
Solo.
true. Which,
Considered a failure in the Star Wars universe. It's the biggest
By
movie he
far
ever
the
He's
made.
ever had.
by far the biggest. Which
Yeah,
also is
yeah.
why some people after last week were like, if there was ever a Solo 2 to happen or a continuation of the Solo Kira Maul around
Yeah.
that time period storyline, get Bryce to do it. Ron
Exactly.
Howard maybe did his like one
Yeah.
movie because he's also Ron goes back with George Lucas years.
Yeah.
Bryce sure knows her Star Wars. Now that was all last week, so back on this week. But this is how I feel. I just can't control myself. I don't even know what to say.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to watch 3 or 4 times to.
I agree.
So many
What
big
else I
things.
can-
I don't think any of them. I mean, we'll get into like the different cameos or appearances. Sometimes cameo can get like a negative connotation of
Yeah.
like, oh, it's a cameo. Like,
There's
oh,
a fan
we
service.
pan in the bar, and who's that in the back? Oh, it just happens to be Lando, and he's like, hey, I'm
Right.
Lando, and then they leave. That's not what this was at all. This is very
No.
much story driven. It's all about the characters, which is why I love the Favreau Filoni
Yeah.
style of storytelling, which is slow burn.
Yeah.
But also, when we put our foot on the gas, we are on the freaking gas, and
Yeah.
it goes. But that doesn't mean that we won't take a completely big detour to an ice planet or some Mos Vespas and all of this stuff
Yeah.
if it's important for the overall story.
Mm-hmm.
But Nate, what the heck?
I think
What's going on?
I said this to you after we were done watching, and I said this episode at the same time felt very fast and very slow.
Mhm.
Which by that I mean I felt fast that a lot of things were happening, a lot of different things with Luke, Grogu, Ahsoka showing up. So there's a lot of things that you're like, oh that, oh that, oh that.
Mm-hmm.
But then at the same time, we spend a great amount of time of Luke training Grogu.
a lot more than
Like
I
a
thought we were
lot
going to
more
get.
than
Which
I
we've
thought we so, like,
never
slowed down.
really seen that.
Yeah.
No, never seen Luke as a teacher
train
No.
like that.
Yeah.
A little
So
glimpse with him and Leia, and a little, but nothing
Right.
like that.
Never
like that.
in a little bit, obviously an older age with Rey and
Right.
stuff, but
Yeah.
not
Not
Luke
like
in
this.
his Jedi Prime post Empire.
That's right.
Yeah.
With his, as we also find out which is very cool, a big reveal. This was Luke is building this. We've got the
Oh my
androids.
gosh, yeah.
Grogu could be his first student, which I did not see coming. As far as the timeline, I thought
That's right.
post Empire, there might be a young,
He
very
could be
young
joining a
Ben.
school
He
already.
could
Yeah.
be joining a school to be his first. Like, this was also a big deal for Luke that he's searching the galaxy, and this is the first.
First one.
Grogu's the first one. Was
Man.
not at all the context
Yeah.
that I initially thought. Yeah, this adds way more context to
Yeah.
them on Tython and sending the message out, and Luke
Right.
showing up later to get him. Is that I have decided I'm going to train, and you are my first student.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah.
go
It's
find
just-
this signal. Yeah.
There's a
I-
lot of stuff I'm thinking. Because every time you say something, it
It goes off the rails.
yeah, we're like, because it goes to, here's the thing about that stuff, right? So the things about Luke, we are actually with Luke, Ahsoka, Mando, and Grogu are speaking to Mando and Grogu in that universe. But Luke, Ahsoka is speaking to everything in Clone Wars,
Yeah.
everything
Everything.
in the original series
Yeah.
trilogy. So it's deep. This stuff goes deep.
Yeah.
And the impact of everything what he's doing now actually, I believe, leads to his mentality as a teacher, a master, for what we hear about later with Ben Solo
Sure.
Mhm.
and The Last Jedi. Those mindset. Remember, we talked the best teacher failure is.
Yeah.
There's foreshadowing here when Ahsoka says that you learn more from your
Yeah.
from your students
Yes.
as much as you. So I think that's foreshadowing about how he handles some of these things with Grogu. We may see
Yeah.
that impacting his decisions
Yeah.
Yeah.
later.
And I love that he's asking Ahsoka for knowledge. Like,
Right.
for people
She's
who
a mentor.
haven't, or maybe they trying to remember because timeline gets all kind of over the place, how Ahsoka is the adult. Like, Ahsoka is
She's the elder.
elder.
she's
too.
the
Yeah.
elder of this scenario,
Mm-hmm.
and even Luke, because it's his first time stepping into this role of trying to train someone, is asking Ahsoka, "What do I do? What do I do with Grogu?"
Another thing I just thought, you're right. Another thing I just thought of, we have inserted Grogu. Grogu is now guiding Luke Skywalker into everything that happens in the future.
Yeah.
Grogu. What just happened?
It's so crazy. You're right.
How
though.
did Grogu
Fascinating.
influence his discussion with Yoda in The Last Jedi?
Yeah.
This is what's so
True.
Crazy.
Yeah, my mind was going to that exact place when especially the second time I watched it. The first time you're hit with so much, and it is like this. I'm getting emotional hearing some of the
Oh my
conversations. One of the first things when they reveal that when Ahsoka all of a sudden is there, my initial thought is, has the conversation with Ahsoka and Luke already happened yet about
Right.
I
Anakin?
know.
And that's obviously
I
the big
know.
elephant in the room, and it makes it feel like because
I
this
love how
episode
they
leaves with
handled
her
that.
kind of leaving and like her
Yeah.
her saying like, "Will I see you again?" Like perhaps I thought the conversation must have already happened.
Right.
She's been there for a little bit with him, and we'll
Mhm.
probably get that in the Ahsoka series. But
Well, also her line to him of "so much like your father"
so much like your father.
made me feel like, oh, maybe they already
They've
had
covered
that.
some
territory.
They've definitely talked about
Otherwise
it.
he
he'd be
wasn't
like,
he wasn't like,
You
what
know
do you
my
mean?
father?
yeah.
Yeah, it
Hey,
was.
what are you doing,
We've talked about
Luke?
it so
Right.
much like your father, and the good side of him is
That's
like
right. They've
so
had
much
this
like him
discussion.
in terms of the training, because she is now witnessing this as if she basically put herself in Grogu's shoes
Mhm.
and was like, I remember when Anakin was treating me and trying to train me,
Yeah.
and now she's looking at Luke saying, "You're so much like him. Like,
Mhm.
I can see what you're doing as a trainer, trying to figure this out.
Mhm.
I saw that in your father.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And like you were saying, it's so the way they've woven this together so brilliantly with introducing in the first with just faceless, nameless Mandalorian in chapter 1 of the
Faceless,
Mandalorian.
nameless Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Yes, he is. We don't know
No.
anything about him. He is the
Nothing.
Mandalorian. And they introduce what everyone referred to as Baby Yoda, which we now know is Grogu.
Yeah.
Who would have thought that would have an influence on Luke Skywalker as to his
Mhm.
training and what ends up happening as far as even the fate of the galaxy that has that big of a impact, but that also they've done it in a way that none of them seem like, well, this doesn't feel like the lot. Like they've taken us in a place where, like we joke about going back to season 2 of Mando, how we were the ones that were kind of like, Well, because I don't think logistically or physically, technologically wise, that it's possible that they're going to bring back Luke.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll do it, even though it's the most logical thing in the story. The fact that they set up all these pieces and then made it even a logical move that then it would be Luke, and then logically he would then go train him.
Yep.
And then make sense that Mando, who had connections to him, logically would not just be okay with that. He'd eventually want to go back.
Yeah, he would long for that connection.
And then now he has a decision, all of this stuff, and then that whether or not he ends up staying with Luke or not, that Luke has been impacted by his time with Grogu as his first time as a teacher, and his connection with Ahsoka, that would set up all this other stuff. But each thing was a little step here. It wasn't like, oh, and then Luke shows up out of nowhere, and we're like, well, that doesn't make sense, or this, or that. Every little thing was a step that was in the right place that led us to something that's completely changing. It changes context of how you view, like going back and watching the whole sequel trilogy now.
Oh yeah.
When I look at the huts now that were built by the the ant droids, I'm like, hey, those are the same Jedi temples right there. Those are the things that were built, and Mando was right there, and all this. Just wild.
I think it's funny too. You go back to Mando, and how much I underestimated the show, because we were like, well, Luke makes sense, but that can't happen. He's not going to show up.
That.
Can't do it.
You asked me this time, and my first response was, well, because you said, who do you think could possibly show up in the next 2 episodes?
Yeah.
And my response was, well, I think
Anybody.
logically, Luke.
Yeah.
Like logically, if we continue from where we left
He's
off
already in the
with
universe, he's already
Mando
there.
going to see Grogu, Luke makes the most sense.
That's right.
But then I said, but knowing that Filoni is directing this one, I think Ahsoka might have a good shot at showing up too. Because if Ahsoka is going to show up at all, it would be Filoni's episode.
Well, can we talk about a little bit of movie technique stuff real quick?
Yeah.
Because it plays a role. Like, so we got to have you got to have someone there who doesn't know things sometimes to be us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sure. That person helps with exposition. So you have a lot of different movies, whoever it might be.
Yeah.
So they're explaining to that person so that we can get on board. There had to be an intermediary so that Mando doesn't just walk up to Luke, because that would interfere with the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Who is going to be that person? Ahsoka. Then Mando in a lot of ways is us, who doesn't know about the connection. So she explains things to him, asking questions in a way.
Friend of the family.
That's right. So in that sense, Mando was us in that scenario.
Yeah.
He can't enter in; it's going to disrupt everything, and they did it in a very subtle way. So I totally get why she was there, but I mean, there's no one else that would fit that role. Couldn't be R2 because we don't know what he's saying. Mando doesn't understand him.
And they addressed
perfect
blatantly the questions that us as the audience would be asking, which was Mando saying, I didn't expect you to be here.
That's right.
Because you start going to Grogu, we're thinking, okay, Grogu and Luke.
Right.
Grogu and Luke. And then he's like, I wasn't expecting you to be here. And then she's like, well, I didn't think you'd be there either, basically, is what she says. And then friend of the family, you're like, okay, now
I get
and then he even asked, I thought you said you weren't going to train them. So another question we would be wondering is like, I thought she said she wouldn't hang around for this.
She explains those
So
things.
she says, I'm not. I'm not. It was Luke's choice, and I'm not in control of what other people choose to do.
But it's also, but all of that is important for the Boba Fett story, because it's informing Mando's decisions, but I think it's also informing what I still think is going to happen, is that Grogu's coming back.
Yeah.
I think he's going to take the armor.
Like next episode.
I think,
or like in the future, or like you think he's
at
coming
some
back
point.
now.
I think you're right. It could be next episode.
I can't foresee.
It could be. I don't know the time period.
I think so.
I told Nate when that happened, I was like, okay, here's my first bet. My first bet is that Grogu takes the armor and Luke says, well done. You don't take the weapon to attack. You take the defense. And you don't seek to do something for yourself. You seek to do something for those you care about. That's the path that Luke Skywalker took. Every time he had an opportunity, he went to help. He went to help
when he was told not to.
When he was told not to, and it's the only reason that Darth Vader was redeemed.
That is the interesting. Yeah.
I don't know if Luke. I can't imagine him not having that in his mind when he gives that choice. He has to be thinking, I was given the same choice, and I chose to leave and it's what brought about the redemption of my father.
At the
Yeah.
despite
How could he
the
condemn him
requests
for
of
taking the
Despite
saber?
the-
despite the
For taking
requests
him-
of Old Ben and Yoda,
That's
who
right.
both
And
were like, you can't
going-
do it. You're not. If
Yeah.
you do this, Old Ben flat out says,
if you don't kill
you
him,
know, he's like, I'm not going to murder my own father. Well, then the
Right.
Empire has already
Already
won.
won.
Like, you didn't even have a problem with Luke phrasing it as murder, and,
Right.
and Obi-Wan's
Yeah.
still
No
like,
problem.
well, then we're doomed.
There you go.
Yeah,
but
that's
it would
think
feel
it's-
weird if he took the armor and Luke said, "Get out." It doesn't. That
Yeah. If he just immediately bought into, well, that's a connection. You've got too much. You've got attachment.
yep.
they
And we don't want
also
that.
it's-
When Luke's whole thing has been
It's
about
all about attachment. And
Luke's been about
Filoni, here's the
attachment.
thing: Filoni of all people in that world understands the connection. We talked about
Yeah.
this with Duel of the Fates. It was
Yes.
actually the compassionate connection that
Yeah.
caused Anakin to go off the rails when he lost that,
yeah.
and it was the
Yeah.
compassion that actually redeemed Vader. So I can't see
Yeah.
him directing an episode where he gives a choice and condemning Grogu for taking
No,
the armor.
and
Yeah.
also
It
the
feels
fact
almost like a fake test. Like Luke was going to say, if you had chosen the other, I would have been disappointed.
it's also the connection
I
to
like that. I
Ahsoka,
actually
which is
like
why
that.
Ahsoka brings
That's right.
up too of like, well, why didn't you train him? He's like, well, and she was talking about her little conversation with Mando in this chapter about it has to be his choice, and all this has to be his choice, and
Yeah.
all this stuff.
Go ahead.
I don't know if I can.
Why did Ahsoka
Uh,
Why did Ahsoka not train Grogu? The baggage of the failure.
Yeah, of Anakin.
That's gone now.
Yeah.
If Grogu does leave, he does have someone who can continue his training. That's not Luke Skywalker,
And
Ahsoka Tano,
Who has now
from
spent
someone
Presumably some time with them there.
and has a show coming up.
There's a
and
show
from
coming.
someone and
And
from
it turns out Grogu helps ratings. Like, he
Helps
sells
ratings.
merchandise.
She's got a backpack already.
and coming from someone who left the order.
That's right.
I think that's a big thing.
That's true.
She's
That's what I
not
was
a
getting
Jedi.
at
Not a
is-
Jedi.
So that gives Grogu an out to be both Jedi and Mandalorian.
Foundling.
That's what I was getting at,
That's
was
right.
that she's very much, and we've said this before, she is the definition of, you don't have to fit into this little box.
Right.
I can stand for all of the things that made the Jedi great, and then also still see where I think that they either where their rules were too rigid or that they
Yeah.
lost their way.
It's going to take Luke
And that's
another
where she-
25
Yeah.
years to get there.
It takes a
He
while.
does
It
get
does.
there.
He eventually
Yeah, he
gets
does.
there.
He's not there yet.
But her conversations with Luke, even about that, and of about his choice, then Luke responds by immediately giving him a choice, because he's seeing like, I just wonder if his heart's not in it, and she liked that because she was like, good, you're not forcing anything.
Yeah.
He's what we've learned from some of the Jedi failures is that regardless of what your midichlorian count is or this is, if this is not what your path is, as far as this is not what you're passionate about, this is what you choose to do, if someone forces you into this, there's a very good chance they'll do a lot more harm than good, because now you're very
Anakin,
exactly
how many times was he asked and pushed into doing things that
Yeah.
that's not what he wanted to do,
he
all the way
that
even
were contrary
on-
to?
all the way
Palpatine.
through Revenge of the Sith, where he's like, I
Yeah.
don't want to spy on him, and they're like, you have to, and this is the only way you can earn our trust.
Right.
You're like,
Right.
well, I've been with you guys for a decade, I haven't
Yeah.
earned your trust
Earn your
yet.
trust.
Have you not seen that? He's like, Master Mace, have you not watched the animated Clone Wars series?
Yeah.
I saved countless
I
others
proved
and now
myself
lost
time
hope.
and again.
Like, I have not
Yeah.
earned your trust yet. I know that I can be a little impulsive, but I'm always trying
Quick
to
poll.
do stuff to help people.
Who led to the downfall of the Jedi? The Emperor or Mace Windu?
Well, I believe in one of our previous episodes we flippantly or not claimed that Mace Windu led to the destruction of the whole Galactic
I
Republic.
know.
We said
The
Mace is
big-
the one.
It's the big three. You
It's
got
the
the
big
you got the Emperor,
His hate for
you got Mace, and you got Jar Jar. They broke
Yeah,
down.
Jar Jar.
He was the center of the whole
Jar
thing.
Jar's key to all
Jar
this.
Jar,
He's-
yeah.
he's
key
key
to
to the
all
whole
this.
thing.
Yeah.
Vincent's here. What's up, Vincent?
What's
Says,
up?
What's up, Star Wars guys? What an episode! My favorite by far. I think it was my favorite too.
What? Oh, so while we're still talking about Luke, can we talk about the technology real quick? Just
It's unbelievable.
where it's
Unreal.
come from at the end of chapter 16, the season 2 finale of Mandalorian, where it was so effective story wise, but they had to keep it very minimal. Most of the Luke stuff was him fighting and everything, and then when you show him,
Yeah.
it was just enough that it was like it didn't take me out of the moment.
Most of his
But
conversation.
when
was
you would
off
watch it,
screen.
you would kind of see the mouth was mumbly,
Okay.
and he didn't show a ton of facial stuff,
Yep.
and the dialogue was very limited for Luke.
Right.
he wants your permission. He did all this stuff,
Yeah.
and talent without training is nothing. And it's like a couple of these like just kind of like staple quotes that made sense for the story.
Mhm.
Then they hire, for those people who didn't know, they hired the guy from
Yeah,
YouTube who
YouTube.
did
The
the deep fake
deepfake,
stuff. And my goodness, right when they first show Luke in this, I immediately go, now that's Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
It was the facial structure was right also
Yep.
too.
Yep.
Yeah,
Like the
yeah.
cheekbones,
You
everything.
mentioned this.
Perfect.
A little thinner.
A little
you could
thinner. I
tell.
went and rewatched right after this episode. After today's episode, I went and rewatched the end of
Luke's return.
Luke's turn, and it's funny because it's not to poo-poo on that moment,
It was
but you look
extraordinary.
at it now, and it's like it's
Yeah.
amazing what they've done in just 2 years or less
The
than 2 years.
technology
Right.
is
That it's now just
crazy.
night and day. We're like now I'm watching this episode, and 1 minute into it, I go, so Luke could star in a full movie. Like
That's
it's,
what I was
it
thinking.
is.
We
Now
talked
it's
about
just
it
the
as soon as the
possibilities
episode
are.
ended.
It was like the possibilities are just endless now because they've got the technology. Mark Hamill, thank goodness, is still alive, and they're
Yeah.
able to do shots and stuff like that to get different reactions and stuff like they came in
Yeah.
when they showed the behind the scenes for Mando. They've got the technology along with his actual voice to computer generates and use the stuff to get him the right tone of the younger Luke Skywalker voice. But then this, they knew that they had this down
Yeah.
almost perfectly. That they're like, we're actually going to, in a good way, flaunt this. Like now, where we kept him in
everything.
the other one and shadowy
We're
and
zooming
stuff.
in on his face.
This is the scene where he's talking with Grogu, and he's like, "Do you remember anything about like your home?" And he's like, "Would you like to remember?" And he leans in this
I
close to the
know.
camera, and I'm
Man.
like, "It looks just as good up
It's
close. How are they
amazing.
doing this?"
unbelievable.
But I mean, half of my entire morning, afternoon today has just been me thinking about as great as the technology,
How do
as great
we-
as the whole episode is, and there's so much we'll get to. We'll get to Cad Bane, believe me.
yeah,
believe
Vincent
me.
just mentioned that
But-
too. He said
Believe me.
he called it.
Well,
Cad Bane.
Cad Bane. But
yep.
just the final little thought there is just half the time I've just been sitting there thinking how just the storytelling possibilities this opens up
Yeah.
everything for them as far as the fact that we have a actual scene and multiple scenes in this, but an actual scene of appearing what appears to be a 30-year-old Mark Hamill in his prime as Luke Skywalker as a Jedi Master training a youngling right next to Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka. It's like, that's not possible. How am I watching?
No.
The whole time I'm watching something that like my mind can almost not
I know.
compute this in the
I think I
best
was
way
like
possible.
this for
Right.
90% of the episode.
It was
Okay,
like
it was-
it was
yeah.
just insane.
It's
When they first
unbelievable.
showed him all the way throughout, I'm like, it's just. And then they showed him even talking. While it's not, it's 99% there. Like it's
Yeah.
just like so good. Ugh.
Yeah.
Are we
just love
going
it.
too far? I mean, because we could make an entire movie with. I mean, we don't need to, but we
Right.
could do. You could do episode 6.5.
More shows for
I
sure.
mean, we can
It's
have
just-
everybody in there.
Yeah.
And even if you think about like Rogue One, like what they did Tarkin, that
Yeah.
was really good.
Really good.
Yeah.
What a different. I mean,
This
Oh,
this
no,
this
what
is
they
a
did
ball
today was the most.
it's unbelievable.
It's
So,
the
yeah.
furthest we've ever seen this technology
Yeah.
where it's because what they did with Tarkin and then even the Leia thing,
Right.
they didn't have the voice. Also, they had someone do a
No.
great impression of them
That's
and do their
right.
best thing.
You
When
can
you got-
recreate it.
Yeah.
It would feel different. It would still be really good if they had the face and everything, but they had someone do an impression of Mark Hamill. But when you feel the comfort of actually, when I'm listening and I'm like, I don't care if it's actually from his mouth sitting there doing a voiceover or it's they used stuff he's recorded and have synthesized and they've created this kind of computer generated
yeah.
this voice. When I hear Mark Hamill come out of Luke Skywalker's body and it's new stuff, I'm like, this is insane.
This is
How am I?
crazy.
This is me getting Timothy Zahn, Heir to the Empire trilogy era
Right.
Luke stories that I thought it's just not
Yeah.
possible.
Can't
We'll
do
never
it.
see it. It's
Yeah,
just
I even
unbelievable.
mentioned to you after we watched it, and I said, well, this just gave me a lot more confidence that we'll be seeing more Luke moving forward.
Right.
Because like now
Why
they can do anything.
That's why we were like, there can't be a Luke and Grogu training
That's too-
show
that's too
because
much.
we
just stand
can't
there.
we can't see that.
Why
and now,
not?
Now they show us this episode. I'm like, well, he might not be training Grogu for too long, but we might get a Luke Academy things
I
coming.
know.
I mean, who knows? A young Ben?
It's
I don't
crazy.
know.
Well, I told you guys the other day I was looking.
Gosh.
I'll bring this up now. I'm at a disadvantage a little bit. I was looking online for
Gonna bring them behind the curtain a little.
for the cast for the the person who played the armor, which is what's her first name? Swallow.
Emily.
Yeah.
Emily Swallow. And I stumbled upon I can tell you this now because it's not there anymore.
And this was like a Google search or something.
Yeah, I was
you
just
got-
on Internet Movie Database, imdb.com, and I put in Boba Fett, and I'm looking down the list for the armor, and I scroll down, and they have pictures, cast members, and I won't say who, but it was a huge announcement, like right on the page, and I was like, what?
Of
Can't
somebody that
be.
of an actor or someone
And now
that's
it's
gonna be
gone.
in it.
It's not there
Yes,
anymore.
Yes. It's not there. But it was there as Chapter 7,
Oh my god.
2022, massive. And it was nobody from this one, which my kids thought, was that? I said, no, it
Of
wasn't.
all the big surprises in
any of
this one, it
these.
was none of them. Wow.
So by
Crazy.
seeing this today, I thought I didn't know how it could be. Now I know how it could be, but I don't know if it's true. Was it there by accident?
Oh my
Was it
gosh.
there? Was it taken down on purpose? Because Mark Hamill, Rosario Dawson, the cat, none of those people were Cobb Vanth. None of those people were on the
They kept
list
it hidden.
until today. It was
Yeah.
updated today. They're there now, and the one that I saw is gone.
So it sounds
Oh my
like two
gosh.
things
I think it was
were
I think it's
erased
true.
from existence. One, that information, and also the person who accidentally put it online.
accidentally
were
put it online.
probably
We're
erased from
both.
existence. They were
Who
both.
leaked it?
Let
is now
go.
gone.
And I don't know. Maybe you guys have some insight on how IMDb is updated. Do they have inside information?
I
Do
don't
they?
know.
How does it get updated? IMDb can't be responsible for updating all of these. I would imagine each their people have an opportunity to update their database,
Yeah.
their information. Like we would update YouTube
Yeah.
stuff, or
Has to be someone at Disney,
Yeah.
at Lucasfilm.
Has
at
to be.
something,
Man.
Yeah.
has to be.
That's crazy. Well, we'll find out next week.
We'll find out in 6-7 days. Yeah.
Dang.
But so
Just-
I bring that up because I'm at a disadvantage. I don't want to make any bets in that direction, but I don't want to avoid bets in that direction if I feel so inclined. So I'm walking a tightrope.
Yeah.
If I make a bet, I can't tell you that it's based on that.
I
If I don't make a bet, I'm going to feel bad because I'm right.
I shared
So I'm not going to say anything.
I shared precast off air that I did not have a similar experience of like Googling or trying to find, again, innocent of you, just trying to find out
I wasn't.
Emily
I wish I
Swallow,
could
who plays the
unsee it.
armorer.
Just find out the
And-
cast.
I
yeah.
wish I could unsee it.
But I did. Now this, you can take this with a grain of salt, and I'm not going to mention any names. There's
Couple
a
grains.
million. Take this with all the salt that's hopefully on the roads right now as we do the Hothcast. We're snowed in, baby.
We could open that door and show them.
That's true.
We open
right.
just a wampa. Our production value is
His
going
arm
way
off.
up.
Yeah.
It was a
Looks
huge
so
thing at
real.
one point when we got video and lights. Now we
Lights.
got live wampas in the studio.
They can do Luke Skywalker. We can do snow.
That's it. And we're all going to be de-aged for our next. We're just going to be
Deep
children sitting here.
What's that flashing?
What's that flashing? But I was looking at, this was a week or probably I think a couple weeks ago, just watching some like reaction videos to one of, it was maybe like chapter 3 or chapter 4 of Book of Boba Fett, watching some of these, and one of them was like, oh, a breakdown episode of this, and in one of the episodes, and again, this is why I say take it with a grain of salt. It was a YouTuber person who was just like,
Sure.
so here's where this is going, and I'll make some predictions. And then also based on this rumor that's been going around that we saw so and so on.
Did he have
this,
an accent,
this.
YouTubers.
I
all
like
have
to think that
accents.
he has an accent.
This is going around.
It makes me
but,
smile.
Rumors going around that
Going
now I've
around?
changed, now I've become one of the Beatles. I don't know what's going on.
Wonderful.
Well, Paul, I think that I
think
saw
we've got
Billy D.
some
Williams on the
predictions.
lot. No, I don't know. That got out
Is
of.
that it?
No, that wasn't it.
No.
I intentionally did not say the real thing.
See, that's the thing about knowing stuff. If you dance around it, you're actually ruling things out when you say it.
True. I am ruling.
Because if I don't, if I do, then I don't.
But here's the good thing.
I can't say anything.
I don't know who is in or who is not in. So me saying Billy D. Williams does not eliminate Billy D. Williams
That's
from being
true.
in the show. It just
That's
means
true.
that it wasn't the rumor that I had
That's true.
Sure.
heard.
Yeah.
But I wonder if the rumor that I had heard just on this random YouTube video,
You
which
can share rumors. I mean, that's fun. That's all we are. We're
but
just a big
I'm
rumor
afraid,
mill.
But he
I'm
thinks it's
afraid the
real.
more that I hear that it's
Get outta
the
here.
exact person that you're talking about is what I'm.
Okay, don't say it.
By the way, you're dancing around some of the stuff that you just said, especially a little more
I've
context.
said too much.
I've said too much.
might have to execute Order 65, which is just direct target at one person. No. Eliminate, wipe them out. One of them. Just one person. What were we talking about?
Technology.
Mando?
What's that flashing? The tech. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it definitely
Everything is
opens
on
up
the
a lot
table.
of
Crazy.
a million possibilities of we could get this person. We could they're alive, they're dead, they're 80, they're 15. Doesn't matter.
They don't exist?
They don't exist.
Right.
We
Right.
can do it.
Cad
Yeah.
Bane?
Gosh.
If we could talk about Cad Bane too.
Oh,
Yeah,
we
let's-
can.
How do you take that from animated, pull it live? It looks perfect.
That was
great.
That's one of the things I've always
Fantastic.
wondered is he's such a unique looking character.
Yeah.
And
It's just
His
and
whole
the
thing
tubes
is
coming out,
I
you're like,
know.
how do you do this and not just look like weird prosthetics or
really
it's one thing to
good.
make something
Yeah.
Teeth.
Twi'lek with some
Just
kind of
throw on
braid
something,
stuff
yeah.
going down, but he looks incredible.
And
I
how-
thought they nailed the essence
They
of it
did.
too.
The
And
eyes. Oh,
how about the reveal
dude?
of Off in
Beautiful.
the Distance, classic Western, and
So great.
to us three and maybe some of you that are watching.
I mean,
because we're familiar with Cad Bane and in some of our Boba Bets, we had thought that this is a show that feels like
Yeah.
if there was ever a show that he would be live action, it'd be this one. Filoni, obviously very familiar with the character, so we
Right.
thought it could possibly happen in this episode. But the way it was executed, I couldn't have imagined it being
It's
better.
like Clint Eastwood coming
straight
out of the
Western.
mirage of the
Right,
desert.
Yeah.
exactly.
I mean, we may as well have gotten the whistle.
How about the classic,
Absolutely.
even just the changing of the breeze, the wind,
So
blowing the
great.
chimes.
Dude,
Clear the
immediately-
streets.
Or not his
He
cape.
knows
his, like
and he
his
looks.
his like coat thing that he wears, just like
Oh, it's just...
I didn't remember he was
Oh, man.
left-handed.
Yeah, I didn't remember that either.
Kind
But he
of
was
cool.
man.
the way that they nailed
it's
that.
always the
is so
deputy.
good. It's
The
always the
eyes.
deputy.
The
The
eyes are
deputy.
flashing. Don't do it.
The marshal's not
deputy.
for sale. Marshal's like,
Will you shut up, man? I'm
He
trying to
was
not
just-
get us all killed here.
yeah.
He's like, now I got to babysit you. Yeah, as soon as he said, Marshall's not for sale, the Cobb Vanth face of like, dude, what are you doing? Get out of here.
Get out
You're
of
going to
here.
get us both killed.
It's like saying, he's not scared of you. He's not going to back down no matter what, are you? You just shut up.
He's like, will you shut up? I'll tell him if I'm scared of him or not. And I'm very
And I
scared.
am.
Get
Look
out
at
of
him.
here. Yeah.
He's got a blue face and red eyes. Okay.
It's a big
Coming
combo.
to-
Red eyes.
Just one. Red eyes.
Tubes
Okay, you
coming out
haven't
of
gotten
his face.
sleep.
And the face
Blue,
down
you're a
and,
certain species. Blue and red, now I'm scared. Yeah. It's just the way
So-
that the menacing, the tension that was built in that scene.
Right.
The whole time I'm like, edge of my seat. What is going to happen? Is he going to be killed? Is he going to be killed? Both. And then the way they set it up by showing Cobb Vanth destroy those pikes
Right.
early, we're like, well, he's a quick draw. And who knows? And this is kind of smart of them, too. They didn't directly give us an answer to. Now, we know from just watching Clone Wars and even watching Bad Batch, Cad Bane is a heck of a draw, and he's going to beat
Yeah.
almost anybody. But they've introduced that Cobb Vanth is a great draw also. And the way they kind of got around smartly
Yeah.
that Cad Bane just defeats Cobb Vanth is that Cobb Vanth is distracted. He's
Right.
he's trying to save
Sure.
this kid. And he's not even a kid. He's a
Right.
young guy who's
He's new.
who's
he
yeah.
said.
He's
Straight
green.
up, it may
Job.
not have gone
He's
that-
green,
that
a little
way.
wet behind the ears, as they
Yeah.
say.
He's
Um,
green.
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 He's wet behind the ears. He's,
Oh, yeah.
They're talking about his beard. He's
Yeah.
got green.
He's green. We're going down a Norm Macdonald little.
There's no sweetheart.
Is
Mama's sweet as
this
mama's
is now
apple pie.
such a small. This is Norm Macdonald
So
Kojak. This is
A Kojak bit.
Kojak Norm
on
Macdonald
Comedians
bit
and Cars Getting Coffee.
with Jerry Seinfeld. Yeah, this is so
that
good.
green?
Google it.
Mama's sweet as apple pie.
4th of July. Oh my goodness.
What is happening?
But Cobb Vanth, awesome. Cad Bane actually brought to live action, fantastic. And
Prediction?
we love Norm Macdonald.
Prediction?
Hey,
You nailed it. That's who I saw on IMDb. Norm Macdonald is on chapter 7. Yeah, Jedi or whatever.
Jedi,
yeah, sword
laser,
and
sword,
laser.
Hey. So you
Yeah.
can't have like any
Those
attachments.
eyes.
That sounds like a rough life there, huh?
It's a trick.
Oh my gosh.
Oh
Prediction.
my gosh. Go for it.
Cad Bane, Boba Fett, draw.
Showdown. Yeah.
Draw like
Because-
pictures.
Yeah, they just draw pictures of
They
each
just
other.
draw
Draw.
pictures.
Because I think I maybe mentioned this to you earlier. There was a deleted scene in was it Clone Wars? And either Clone Wars or Rebels
Clone Wars, I believe.
of a Boba Fett, Cad Bane draw, and it was actually revealing the moment of where Boba got the dent in his helmet.
Oh,
Cad Bane shot him,
man.
got him in the helmet, survived. Both survived, but then that's was showing the dent. They ended up not putting that in the show, but
Wow.
maybe because they didn't put it in the show, obviously the helmet
Yeah.
was already dented, but it could be kind of a tie to that of them getting that draw now, live action.
Who would
I
win
don't know.
that? Who would win that?
I don't know.
That's tough. That's
I
a
don't
risky.
know.
That's a risky one because they face off. Somebody gonna die or somebody gonna get shown up.
That's the scary
Could
thing
be.
about
No.
you
Could
introduce
be.
someone
Could
everyone's
be.
been so excited to see. You're
It's
like,
hard
wow,
to keep them kind of
you're like, I don't.
on
That is
rails a
true.
little
That's
bit
tough.
if they get
Well,
together.
especially
That is
now
tough.
that feels like Cad Bane and at least the Boba Fett clan group is on
Yeah.
a crash course now. They're headed. They very much he works for the Syndicate. The Syndicate hired him. He's on the side of the Pikes. He has bad blood history with Fennec Shan, which they brilliantly set up in
Yeah.
Can't believe what we're talking
in
about.
Bad Batch. This is why it's so great. Anyone who has not watched Bad Batch because you were like, it's an animated show.
Oh,
First
man.
of all, hopefully we've gotten beyond that just
Right.
stereotype of an animated show because obviously Clone Wars, that's where we get Cad Bane.
Yeah.
Rebels has gotten us so much stuff. Darksaber, all of those things
Right.
come from these shows. But even a show that feels a little bit smaller in scale like Bad Batch because it's following this kind of singular, even though it's in a big world and big universe and there's different intersections, the fact that introduced Cad Bane versus Fennec, and then the very following season of live action, you get
They're coming.
they're going to come and have a
Mhm.
showdown again. None of this stuff is by accident. And again, that's why the
Yeah.
great storyteller that Filoni, while Favreau's doing a lot of the live action stuff, Filoni's over kind of all this stuff, weaving together the stories, and it's just
Director
it
Lucas
just
stuff.
adds way more. It would have been cool either way to see Cad Bane live action, but now knowing what we just found out in Bad Batch about his history with Fennec,
Yeah. Makes it
So
even
good.
better.
even better.
Yeah. Yeah, I see Darth in the chat said Bane even has Bad Batch wound on his head, so that duel did happen. So that's true. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
I love it.
Showing that
I love
wound.
that they keep that, not just that they don't like overlook it, but they make it intentional to
They
put it
make
in there.
intentional,
Like
yeah,
all this stuff is
exactly.
going to pay off if you're watching it.
Yeah.
Man.
No, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, Cobb Van survived. Did we talk about that?
I don't know. I don't know if I've caught
I
everything
don't know if we
yet.
did.
So Darth said, "Do you think Vance survived?" I think.
I think so.
So
I think so.
I think so. Yeah.
They were watching it again. I think it's not. Again, they don't do anything accidentally. I think it's intentional that when
The
he shoots him,
deputy-
it looks like it hits him in
Yeah.
the shoulder, even
Yeah.
though he goes down pretty hard. But one shot and then bang, bang, bang,
They
bang. The
intentionally show
deputy,
the
Yep.
deputy get
that deputy's
destroyed.
dead.
Yeah.
Deputy is dead.
well, in this
Um,
case, he shot the sheriff and he did shoot the deputy.
It's true. Yeah.
Remember I did not shoot the deputy.
Did not
Yeah.
shoot the deputy.
A
Well,
little bit of
This
has
is
that
a
been
little
pulled from
bit
Spotify yet
this
too,
was-
or not? That might be pulled from Spotify. I shot the sheriff, Clapton, but
Could
okay.
be.
Is that Cream? I don't remember who the
Don't
band
know.
was.
Yeah.
Look it up. I
Yeah.
shot the sheriff. I did not shoot the
Did not shoot
deputy. Cad Bane
took
definitely
them both.
This
shot the deputy.
I am
multiple
not
times.
sure. I'm not sure.
Just
I'm
little
not sure
deputy.
which episode has more references. This Boba Fett episode or our podcast today? We got Norm, Kojak. We're getting
I shot
the
shot
sheriff.
the deputy. This is
That was
It's all
obscure. We got Rogan thrown in, pulling
Yeah.
up Spotify.
yep,
That's on there.
we
too.
got all of it on there.
Yeah, exactly.
I think
We are here
Cal-
for everyone.
and hopefully we'll still be here for everyone
was gonna
and
say.
not be canceled.
One problem is when you're here for everyone, you also
Everyone's
have-
out to get you.
everyone is out to get us.
That's
Yeah,
right.
love it.
I was laughing as you said that because you know what we've got shaping up here, and I think I'm modifying my Grogu prediction a little bit.
Okay.
I am going to put a bet out there.
Oh, an official Boba Fett?
Yep.
Official
Ahsoka
Boba Fett.
Ahsoka plays multiple roles in this.
Mm.
I believe that Grogu chooses the armor.
Okay.
Luke releases him, and Ahsoka brings him to Mando.
Mm.
I could see it.
Are we voting?
It
Oh,
was exciting.
wait. So is the bet specifically about who delivers him?
Who
My
delivers-
bet is
So there's two there. One, he takes the armor. Two, Ahsoka delivers him to Mando.
two. Yes, and I think it happens in Chapter 7.
Are you ready?
Am I betting on my own?
Yeah, I guess that's
1,
true.
2, 3.
Oh,
Too
Partly
far?
because I wanted
It
to.
was, it was a too far to reach. you
it
think?
wasn't too far. I was just trying to think
Nothing.
that
We
if,
established nothing's too far.
I was trying to
I
think
mean-
that she said goodbye, and then later we show his conversation with her. That I just thought that maybe she had just left.
She had left.
That was the only reason.
I'm just kidding.
That was the only reason. It totally
I'm
makes
just
sense that
kidding.
she would be the one to do it. She has
Yeah.
history with Mando. She just saw him. It makes
Yep.
sense.
Yeah.
It's possible that Luke brings him, but
True.
it seemed like it will be a
I think
Grogu's-
Ahsoka- I think
Grogu's
Ahsoka
flying
will
Ahsoka's
win.
away.
already
Ship.
got a connection with those
Plus,
that
then
crew a little bit.
plus if Luke,
We don't
comes-
have Luke and Boba Fett.
I was gonna say
issues.
they'd have to kind of.
That makes sense. I think you're right.
They'd have to address that. Yeah.
Wait,
We could have. Do we have Ahsoka Boba Fett issues? Anyway, I think that could be the way. I do think he will choose the armor,
Yeah.
and
I do too.
And that back of the N1. That's a good
That's-
spot for future adventures.
Oh,
it's
oh,
not
there-
an
As
accident.
no
soon as
reason.
they introduced that, I thought, Grogu,
Grogu.
for sure.
What happened to the
but I was
droid
thinking
port?
about the battle
like,
that's
wow.
coming up,
She got rid
right?
of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Pikes, Pikes. But then you say Cad Bane, and I go,
Pikes find a way.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Aha.
Cad
but
Bane.
Cad
though.
Bane now. So we got Pikes, Cad Bane,
Yeah.
whoever else is on that side, whoever else is over there. But then we got Boba Fett, Fennec Shand, Black Chrysanthemum, Mando, potentially Grogu,
A Rancor.
a Rancor, and
Mods.
the mods.
They got cool bikes. They got
speeding,
cool bikes.
speeding. In,
Like they're all.
I love
they're
how
all there,
Fennec
and the
Shand
mods are gonna
is-
get there like 30 minutes late with their slow bikes.
Fennec Shand is throwing shade at him, like you guys did good looking at stuff. Good job looking at
Good.
stuff, but
Laying the map out.
your job here is
Hilarious.
done. And they were all like,
Like, well, okay.
"We're trying." It took
Although
six
in
of us
their
to take
defense,
down
yeah.
Chrysanthemum.
They've got a Rancor Chrysanthemum. They've got 2 guys with Beskar armor. And the mod's like, yeah, but I got a fake eye. like, well, you're great at doing
Great.
all the
I can
espionage
see
stuff.
Move
stuff
along.
real good.
Sit back.
I don't-
real good.
I have no
Real
depth
good.
perception, but I can see stuff real good out of that one.
Oh, yeah, this one. The
You
other
think
one.
they got together and
I
decided?
never know exactly where he is. This one sees there. This one sees here. He's somewhere in between.
It feels like Tamar Morrison said, "I have too many lines.
That's
I want to be like Mando and not talk as
What's
much."
funny is,
And they
Well,
said,
I'm
"You're
glad
right.
you
No
said
more
that.
talking."
Let's get on
I'm
this
glad
too.
you said
we'll
that
get to
because
this
I saw so much criticism.
today.
No. Leading up to actually all the way up until
Probably the
before
last
Mando
one.
was introduced, before the Mando episode.
Yeah.
So through chapter chapter
I know where you're
4.
going for this.
4.
Yeah.
And so much criticism revolving around Boba Fett's not just too soft, but he talks way too much.
Compared to
That's not-
how people thought of him
Yeah,
in
that's not.
Empire.
He talks too much. Like they're giving him too many lines, all this stuff. He's more of like a Mando with a helmet on. Don't know a lot about the guy. Let him just be that kind of mysterious, strong character.
Oh,
And
we already have
well,
one of
you
those.
got what you wanted. He hasn't
Right.
talked the last 2
Exactly.
episodes.
It's taking the show away from him. I want my show like a bantha.
like a banta.
Well, we already got that guy. We don't want
I
another
know.
one of those.
Yeah.
yeah.
People were like, "Why are you
Same
doing
of-
this?" It's, we already got that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But I just thought it was funny the way you said that. I was like, that's right. People have criticized that he has too much lines, and now he
So,
hasn't talked at all the last 2 episodes.
Can we stay on this topic a little bit of the lack of Boba in the last couple of episodes?
Mhm.
Just I want to get everyone's
You
thoughts
mean
on
like
this too.
from what people are coining, like has Mando kind of taken over?
Yeah,
the
there's
show?
there's some people out there which I don't think it's a huge stretch to like we all noticed that in the especially in the previous
Yeah.
episode that in the Book of Boba Fett chapter 5, Boba Fett's not in it. I don't think any of us on this podcast we were surprised by it. We didn't have a big problem with it because we were like, yeah, we understand.
I think you said we can't do that again.
I think we did say that. We said I don't think
Yeah,
they would do it
that's
2
true.
episodes in a
Can't be
row.
I think we even went as far as Boba's going to be in it a ton this next
Right,
episode.
right.
Yeah. I will say they did surprise me how little he was in it this chapter. Now,
Yeah.
here's what my thoughts are on it, though. I don't care at all. I don't care at all. It's not that I don't care
I don't
about
even
Boba.
want.
It's not that I don't care about Boba. I very much care about Boba.
Yeah.
But as far as what this part of the story was telling, what they've shown us going back, I think even especially going back to chapter 5, is that chapter 5 and chapter 6 of Book of Boba Fett have shown us that this is no longer just it's the Book of Boba Fett where we tell a lot of his story. In books there are certain chapters in a lot of books I've read, there are chapters that don't have the main character in it at all.
That's right.
They're setting up a big payoff at the end where they have to show some development and different things. Now, because of what they set up in Mando season 1 and season 2, it just happens to be that what they're setting up is also a continuation of another story that is taking place at the same time. So it actually makes sense that if we are to, this is what you were getting at earlier, as far as if we're to get Grogu either in chapter 7 as part of the battle,
Or even just Mando, yeah.
or just Mando and part of the battle,
Mhm.
we need to know, how did Grogu get back?
Yeah.
Like, it would be weird, and I think we even talked about it in our last podcast episode of one of my predictions, not of what would happen, but possibilities are they go and they show the scene of him talking with Luke or talking with that, but we felt like, would they go do that and spend a lot of time on Mando again in this Boba show? Or would it be he comes back with him, and then in Mando season 3 they go back to it and show it? And they chose option 1, which is we're gonna show it now.
Yeah.
We're gonna get more stuff of this probably later, as far as especially Luke and Ahsoka stuff later. But this all ties back into we need to know how Grogu gets back to Mando. If Mando and Grogu or just Mando are going to be a part of the Boba fight.
Sure.
But this is all one big story. The Book of Boba is part of the trilogy of the Mandoverse.
Yeah.
Or the part of the entire. There's the Fellowship of the Ring, but there's also the whole story.
And
It's a
I would
continuous story.
I would take it even a step farther. We call it the Mandoverse because we think too small.
Yeah.
Mando is part of the Star Wars universe.
The Star Wars universe.
It's
Yeah.
the Star Wars verse. That's
Yeah.
really what it is.
Well, we saw that today.
We just felt like at the beginning it was segregated. Maybe
Yeah.
it was then,
Yeah.
And we kind of.
but
like
as soon as Mando got 2 or 3 chapters in, Kathy took all the toys and put them on the table.
Sure.
Said, "Johnny boy, take your pick. Whatever
Johnny
you
boy,
want to do, man.
Turns out we trust you with Boba.
Just make sure you talk to Dave first before you start having
before McClunky.
they all
means
start
curtains.
yelling McClunky and jumping into the
Before
Millennium
it's
Falcon.
canon that McClunky means curtains, please talk to
Please
Dave
ask
first.
Dave.
I get I do get the criticisms or why some people might be a little upset with not having Boba in it very much because it's just the Book of Boba Fett. That being said, I trust the story and the writers that are creating each episode and Favreau, the plan that they have, not just for Boba Fett, but Mando season 3, Ahsoka, all the shows that we're assuming are going to be tied together. I trust that they have this story in mind, and that's why they're doing this. So I don't want to be quick to be like, oh well, this is the Boba Fett show. It should all be about that because obviously we know they're going to try and tie in. If Filoni's involved with the project, he's going to tie in his characters. That's just what we've seen so far.
Yeah.
So I
Loves
was
the
kind of
crossover.
expecting we would get some tie-ins with Ahsoka or some of these other characters. That being said, those that are upset with a little bit of lack of Boba, I can see it because you tell a story that gets through the first 4 chapters and you build up this war that's coming, which is still going to come.
Yeah.
So it's not that they're just jumping away from that now and they're just not going to come back to it.
Right.
I think they just decided that, kind of what you were saying, that the story of how Mando gets involved and maybe even Ahsoka or whoever, if others get involved, had to be told in order to progress Boba's story with whether how they win or something like that, right? With this war. So even though I understand why, I really just want to see a ton of Boba because I want to see Boba too. I love Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Even though just because we haven't seen it all yet, that's where I kind of get hesitant, and I'm like, I can understand why someone may feel this way so far, but just like a lot of people had issues with the Darksaber thing about how no, it has to be. We've never seen that it needed to be a 1 because in Rebels, Sabine just handed it to her and it was fine. Well, now we're seeing
apparently
some of that,
it wasn't.
Apparently it wasn't.
And we're turns out they
curse went with it.
introduced
They just
this
hadn't told that
seemingly
story yet.
conflicting information because they absolutely had a plan for it.
Sure.
Yeah.
There's a reason why. Same thing when Mando doesn't take off his helmet. Everyone goes, but they always took off their helmet in Clone Wars and stuff because
he has it wrong.
He has it wrong. He's
Right,
part of
exactly.
He's part of the Watch. He's part of a
Exactly.
different clan. They have a reason
So
for this stuff.
I understand
Yeah.
why initially it's easy to be like, oh wait, but this, but
Yeah.
this, but that contradicts. Is this retconning this or that? Or so I get it, but I don't know. Part of me is just holding out. I'm just gonna trust in the fact that they'll tell the story, they'll get there, and for instance, if the finale comes around and Boba's not in it again, well, then yeah, I'd be like, well, what the heck was the last 3
Well,
episodes?
let me
of
just
this?
throw this out there. Let me just throw this out there because I think they're changing the rules. They're changing the rules.
Yeah.
The Simpsons was about the Simpsons, right?
Yeah.
Breaking Bad was about those
Yeah.
characters. Seinfeld
I Love
was
Lucy was
Seinfeld.
about
Lucy.
Sure.
The Book of
That
Boba
was an
Fett.
easy
Remember
one.
we talked about the Book of Boba Fett? There is a reason why it wasn't Boba Fett. Why
Yeah.
it wasn't like The Mandalorian.
Mhm.
This is the Book of Boba Fett. I think they're changing the rules, but it's bigger than just this. These people are involved with Ahsoka show. They're involved with Obi-Wan Kenobi. They're involved with Cassian, with Andor, all of that. So what they're telling you is all of these stories can be based on a character, but everything is up for grabs. We're not going to say, because it's the Book of Boba Fett, he's going to be in every scene. He's going to be in every chapter. He's going to be in every 3 chapters.
Yeah.
May not be.
And some people may not.
Now
like
that's
that.
because
That may
we're
upset people,
we've
so
been
that's okay.
conditioned that a TV show is the title. That's what the show is. That character's going to be in all of it. That they're telling us right now. That's not how
They're
we're
clearly,
playing.
yeah, they're
And I
clearly
would-
going a different route.
That's a
And
great.
I love it because
yeah.
now I don't go in going, well, what's Boba Fett? What shenanigans is Boba Fett going to
Yeah,
find
kind of-
himself in today?
Yeah.
Anything is
Yeah.
possible.
It kind of reminds me
It's-
of like
Completely new.
Captain America: Civil War.
Yeah.
Captain America: Civil War is
Right.
Captain America movie. It's the last of its trilogy, but it's an Avengers movie.
But it's yeah.
It's not
We have
Captain
Black
like,
Panther
it
and Spider-Man
progresses
fight.
them,
Yeah.
But
Right,
it introduced
right, right.
Spider-Man, Black Panther. Like it shows
Right.
a ton of these characters that are so. Yeah, I feel like they're really kind of building off the Marvel. Let's get
Also,
everything sort of connected and weave together.
For sure. And like you were just talking about, Uncle, I was thinking about this morning too, because this is an interesting way to think about it. Because I didn't have any initial and still don't have any negative like reactions to this episode at all. Absolutely loved it. Some of my favorite Star Wars stuff I've ever seen. And when I did go back and watch it, I was like, yeah, Bo was definitely in it less than I thought he would. But I was like, now let me think of, because I have heard some criticism, and understandably so. I think that's what you're getting at too. Like I do understand people pointing out and being surprised or maybe even disliking
Yeah,
that
and that's
certain
okay,
episodes
yeah.
have less of Boba Fett when maybe they want more Boba Fett. Totally
Sure.
get that. What I was thinking though is what's so unique about this is not only the same people like you were just getting at, of who are in charge and have their hands in different stuff. These are also the same people who have shown us that they have done this before. Meaning, Filoni. How many times did we say when we're talking on here, and we've talked on the podcast a number of times about how much we love Star Wars Rebels?
Mm-hmm.
Just wait, because you know how the show about Ezra
Be patient.
and this gets to an old Ben mall campfire episode. That has nothing to do. I mean, like, there's a little interaction of Ezra sees this, and there's some connection.
Sure.
And obviously, he has some connections to Maul, but we got a huge piece of a
Serving
story
bigger
that
purpose.
we've never seen.
Yeah, well, Clone Wars in
And
particular was
Clone-
known for just taking a side mission.
Clone
for
Wars,
3
we'd have
episodes
a
and then it'd
full
come back.
arc of the Night Sisters and Maul and stuff,
Yeah.
and we're like, so what does this have to do with the clones? We didn't think it was a negative. We thought this is amazing.
Right.
Like we never thought that this show could expand into this. Now what they've done is, like you said, as far as changing the rules, they're doing
Yeah.
this with live action, which is like, okay, well, this feels like on the surface, Mandalorian is going to be this. Well, guess what? By the end of season 2 of Mandalorian, Luke freaking Skywalker shows up.
Right.
And everyone loses their minds, and people are crying about it in a good way. And I was one of them because it was insane.
Right.
I wasn't like, well, this is supposed to be about Mando, because Mando was at the heart of that with his delivering Grogu.
That's
There's a
right.
reason.
Sure.
It all connected back to his story. When Ahsoka showed up, we weren't like, now Ahsoka shouldn't have anything to do with Mando. We're like, no, because they've actually set in place that this is why it
That's
would
right.
connect.
Yeah.
With this is even a bigger picture thing. I was thinking, why would I actually have a problem? Is my problem that because, like, if I have a problem with it, is it that because the show is titled, the same creators are making it, so it's not like one person is
That's what
ripping
I'm
off
getting at.
something else, or it's not like Favreau and Filoni are over here doing Mando, Favreau and Filoni are over here doing
Stepping
Boba.
on each other.
It's their stuff. Like, who
Right.
they're the ones to say
I see
what
what you're
bleeds
saying.
over into which.
Yeah.
It's not a, oh, well, because I've heard this criticism of, especially last chapter, there was a lot of criticism or people that were like, this is the best episode ever. and it has nothing to do with
Like,
Boba
is
Fett.
it
Of
bad
Mando.
that, yeah, is it
And I
bad
get
the
that
best
because it
episode-
was. We even joked. We're like, well, it was chapter 3 of. It felt like season
Yeah,
1,
season
season
one.
3,
Right.
chapter 1
Yeah.
of. It's chapter 1 of Mando season 3 is what it felt like. Understandably so, but it's interesting because I heard some criticism then that was like, well, they just showed that for the Boba Fett show to work, they had to get desperate and put Mando in there. You're like, you do know they don't create these week by week.
Right.
This is a ridiculous criticism I heard of like, well, people weren't happy with the Boba show, so they had to throw Mando in there. Mando's been in the plan. They made this way before they knew if you would respond positively
They're
or
done before
negatively
they put the first
to
one
the
out there.
colorful bikes.
Sure.
They
Right.
didn't see, oh, Dave, they didn't like the colorful bikes. Well, let's get Din Djarin on the phone, and we got to get him in next week's
Let's
episode.
Get it shot and put it out there.
This has all been the plan.
Sure.
But what's funny is it's the same. What I was getting at to finish that thought was it's the same creators. So what do I care if I'm like, well, because the title is Boba Fett, Mando should kind of stick to his show, and Boba should stick to this show, when it's all the same people running the whole thing. That they can mix and match and do all this stuff. It doesn't matter to me which line it falls under.
Yep, I agree. I think they did it. They went so far. I think they made the entire chapter about Mando, and they made this thing Grogu, Luke, Ahsoka. They went so far because I think it's totally intentional. And here's why. Do you think in the discussion when Filoni said, "Here's what I think," everybody said, "Oh, that's a great idea"? You don't think anybody went, "Wait a minute, this is Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
How can this be the plan?"
Yeah.
I promise you, it was labored and discussed over and over.
Yeah.
And I think the reason it went so far, like they didn't just go a little bit off tangent.
The
No,
whole thing.
I think they said, not only do I want to do the first, I want to do 5. I want to do 6.
Yeah.
5 and 6. Totally off.
building up to the finale.
Because they're getting us to the point when Obi-Wan Kenobi comes around.
Mm.
We're going to turn on Obi-Wan Kenobi and not have any idea who we're going to be. What's this even
Sure.
going to be? We know it's the universe of Star Wars. We know Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Mm.
This is the path of his. But we don't know what. We could have an entire episode that's
You have no idea.
completely different.
Yeah.
And now, is anybody going to be surprised when Mando season 3 comes and we have an entire Boba Fett episode? No.
No.
Oh, I'm going to love it. Like, oh, I get it. They've done this before.
Mm.
And it's going to tie together. So when we get to the final chapter of whatever, and everybody's in the big party together, and it's going to be glorious
In
because we've
fact-
been prepared. It's not. This isn't movie or TV like we are used to seeing.
Yeah. It's
Here's the
different.
title.
It's different.
Here's the characters, and that's it. It's all of it.
It's
In
different,
fact,
yeah.
I would argue that if Mando set this story in place, which it did, and introduces Boba Fett like it did, and the big questions were, well, what happened to Boba in between all this time? The logical way to fill it in is, well, we have to have a side Boba Fett centered show to fill in all that stuff without it completely detracting or completely going
Sure.
away from the whole Mando storyline.
Yeah.
But this is still, we are moving the whole, and again, just for lack of better terms, the Mando storyline as far as that time period. We're
Yeah,
moving
sure.
that Mando-verse, Filoni Favreau-verse forward,
Right.
is what the first 2 seasons of Mando did. But then everyone knows as we introduce Boba Fett, we have to give the people information, and it's a rich story, is what happened to Boba. He's alive. What
Right.
happened? Well, we have to take time to go back and do that. Let's fill it in. That's what the first 3 or 4 chapters of this was. Fill it in. And now we are
Tell us
together,
his
both
purpose, what he's
shows.
trying to go
And
for.
now it's both shows moving forward with the same
Mm.
story.
Right.
What do we call a show that has to take at least 3 episodes of the 7? It's a Boba Fett show.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
But this is still now we're all back connected, and they even told us 2 years ago that Kathy Kennedy said that here's our shows, here's this, and they were keeping Boba secret at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is all going to intersect into a big climactic
I
shared
think-
universe event. But that you really can't take the time to tell Boba properly if you just do it in the Mandalorian show. So they had to have this other show, but they've shown that this is all connecting. And that now we're on an even playing field of this is all moving forward, and now it
Anything's
can
fair game.
and now it can branch off into Ahsoka and this and all this
Sure.
stuff moving forward.
No, I think
That's a lot
yeah.
there, but that's my thoughts.
Yeah. No, I think plus the show's not over, right? We still have the
We
finale.
still have the
episode.
finale.
So I mean, as crazy as these last 2 episodes were, I think it's going to. I'm just trusting in the fact that maybe it doesn't. Maybe I'm disappointed. I don't know, but I'm trusting in the fact that this finale is going to come full circle with, and really, I mean, other than the progression that we've already seen, like I think we've already seen an importance of why they had to show this stuff to make sense of why Mando shows up.
Yep.
Why he would show up and help him in something like this. But I think there might be a bigger reveal, or at least a bigger reason as to why they had to tell this story going into to 7.
You're right. I can't think of another reason other than that explains why Grogu is here.
Exactly. So if
That's the only thing I
shows
can
up, then
think
we'd be like,
of.
well, last we saw
He chose the
left.
armor.
So we had to explain why Grogu is with Mando
And that
again,
makes
or why
sense.
he's getting dropped off, because otherwise it wouldn't have made sense if last we saw Grogu is him leaving. to
Luke
go with I don't know.
There's also Luke said, I'm not so much training him as
Yeah.
helping
Yeah.
him remember.
Remember.
So
True.
he's laying the groundwork that he doesn't require. He can unlock this
interesting, yeah.
as he goes. It's not that he has to.
Interesting.
Yeah.
As a 50-year-old, how many years has he actually trained? He was young.
Yeah.
That's
True.
true.
So
He's been
the
training
mental
since,
part
like,
of it,
5.
he's been doing this for he's been training longer than Luke
Yeah.
has.
He's trained a lot longer than Luke.
So
Yeah.
there's some framework there for him to be able to leave on good terms.
Mm-hmm.
Not like he's 15 minutes with training with the
Yeah. Plus,
with the blast
I
shit
thought
down. I
about
can't even
this
see.
too.
So there's a little bit of foundation for him to go.
Plus, we've seen characters change a ton throughout Star Wars, right? We've seen the Vaders get redeemed, the Kylos get redeemed. So, who's to say he doesn't choose the armor, go with Mando? Like, there's no reason. He's 50 and he's capable of living to 1,000.
Take them both.
He could go live out all of Mando's years because he has an attachment with Mando, and then think, I'm reaching my teen phase now. Maybe I'll go train.
I'll go find somebody.
It's like, you know what I mean? Like,
He'll
his
go back to the Rock
timeline
and call out.
is so long, and Luke mentions to him that, a short time for you is a lifetime for someone else.
Mhm.
So, why couldn't he go choose Mando?
That's another reason
and then
to go.
still come back at a certain point. Like, I understand maybe Luke wouldn't be the one to work with him if he came back, and he says, I wouldn't be able to train you. Maybe that's what he's saying. You're right. If you leave now, go pick that, but I won't be around to train you because I'll be gone by then.
At that time, yeah.
So that doesn't
In
mean he
50
would
years.
never come back and pursue.
It also,
Jedi.
here's the other thing. Okay, let me give another reason why I think it makes sense. It would also explain why Grogu is not in Luke's future. That would make a lot of sense.
He's got to be gone.
Because the first thing was everyone was afraid when he went with Luke was like,
That was the biggest question.
How does that fit?
Solo
This
wipes everyone out?
this
Yeah.
breaking off early puts him back, separates him back from Luke.
Whether with Mando or what you mentioned, maybe Ahsoka. Either way.
Ahsoka, which that story hasn't been told. That might make a lot of sense.
Sure.
Out on some adventure, helping.
Mortis.
Yeah, right. Or going
Grogu
against
just-
Speculation that they
Grogu
end up
and Ahsoka just become the essence
because
of
Dave
the
will never
Force.
kill Ahsoka. Remember?
I truly believe Ahsoka will never die. She'll never be killed.
We can continue to tell stories.
The only possible thing, she will become
do-
the Force before
I
she
do
dies.
love her performance. She's captured the Ahsoka. The thing about Ahsoka, it's always great. Even later, there's a hopeful delivery to the lines.
Yeah.
There's a playfulness, even in old Ahsoka.
Yeah, I
There's
was
a
gonna say
playful delivery.
Yeah. With wisdom.
Why do you
behind
want? Why do you want to do that? Why do you want? Why did you come? Why do you want to give it to him?
She
There's
already
a-
knows the answer.
Yeah.
But it's got a.
Is
it's
that for
got
him or is that for you?
Right.
It's
It's
got a.
like,
It's
yeah.
very. I don't know. There's something about it
Yeah.
that's playful and.
There is. It's like a
Even though
it's like a
yeah.
comforting. It's like she's helping you talk through your problems a little bit, but also there's just a genuine kindness there
Right.
that always comes out.
Well,
Yeah.
don't you think also Mando has gained immense respect from Ahsoka on those occasions? He's done the right. He's done the right thing
Yeah.
The hard thing, yeah.
without being pushed by just talking through it. His
Yeah.
mindset about things is in line with hers.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
never even the conflict they had. They worked it out and they were
Yeah.
teamed up and they had similar mindset. He was ready to
Right.
release him to her and took
Well,
no for an
yeah.
answer from her. And it was like I think he's built up some serious cred with Ahsoka.
Yeah.
I agree. And Luke at this point too.
Yep, for sure.
Letting him go in the
Let him
first
go.
place,
And then not interrupting
and then
when
not
he came.
interrupting. Obviously, they knew he was here. You see Grogu reaching out for him.
I actually think it's because Mando didn't interrupt that brought about in the decision making this idea of a decision now. Let's choose. And Ahsoka talked about that. You need to be able to choose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Luke was always they weren't giving him a choice.
Yeah.
They were guilting and pushing him to do it against what he thought was right.
Yeah.
And I really think he'll be disappointed if Grogu took the saber. I think Luke would in heart of hearts would feel disappointed.
How
I think what you're saying.
I genuinely
makes
think
sense.
that's true.
how shocked would the three of us be if between those two, he just takes the saber?
I just don't see it.
I don't see it at all,
There's
right?
no
I don't.
shot.
I don't see
There's
it.
no
No
shot.
shot.
No
No
shot.
shot. I don't think so either. There's maybe some roundabout ways where he ends up with the saber also. But I don't
Yeah.
just see that between
I
those
totally
two.
see
He just clear-mindedly was like, yeah, I'll just take the saber. I don't see
think
that.
either now or down
Right.
the road he'll end up with the saber as well.
But I'm with you guys. I think
But
we all are thinking
some
he
point.
chooses the best scar there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. While we're on this at this point of the story from this episode, we talked about this briefly after, but I want to kind of get Chad's thoughts, your thoughts too. 'Cause I don't know-
Chad?
Chad.
Chad, what do you think
thoughts
of
We want
and
Chad's
your thoughts
thoughts.
too.
How you doing, Chad?
After my second viewing,
That's what my kid said. Is it Bill Burr? Yeah, he did, Mando.
Hey,
Mando,
Mando.
fight
Hey,
some
Mando.
Jedi.
Oh, man.
Mando, you
Hey,
can take
Mando.
off the mask or
Take
what?
it up. What are you, religion?
I was gonna say, after my second viewing, when Mando goes in and flies there, knowing what is now to come with Ahsoka and Luke being there, I was thinking, Mando is also of the I mean, aside from Grogu, of the adults, I guess here in the scene, they all have lightsabers, and him with the dark
They do.
saber. The armorer also made it clear that he needs training to be able to yield this thing.
There was
Mhm.
speculation as
So-
to whether or
and
not he
now-
would get some Luke
exactly.
training or.
And now he's also not a Mandalorian. He's not with the armor anymore, so she's not gonna train him. So who's to say that this doesn't then go to the point where Mando's like, why am I looking for? I need training, and I already have the people to get training from right here. I'm not a Jedi, but I have this thing, this dark saber with just the lore of Mandalore events, basically kind of moving forward. Why, who else could train me with this better than the two people right here? I don't know.
Ahsoka. Wouldn't that be great?
That's what I mean. Ahsoka, Luke.
Ahsoka brings Grogu back and is involved in this battle and begins to train him.
Yeah.
She watches him
With the dark
laboring
saber.
with this thing like, dude, I need to show you how to use that before you hurt
Yeah,
yourself.
you're gonna
Before
hurt
you
yourself again.
Let's figure this thing
Does
out.
she know he has it? I'm forgetting where we ended things with Ahsoka. She doesn't.
She doesn't know.
She doesn't know he
No.
has the dark saber.
No.
No.
But
I don't
she
think
did.
either.
Would
Unless
she have noticed it
I
on the
didn't
hill?
Well,
notice.
maybe does Luke? No, because Luke was there when gave Grogu, and he walked in. With
Luke would. Yeah. I don't remember if he had
They
it
didn't show a
ignited.
comment.
if
But there
he
was
had
no
it, like,
discussion of
ignited
that.
or
It
anything.
was
They
like
didn't- yeah.
put away and
Which also reminds me how
Yeah.
little was actually discussed in that initial scene from season 2
Yeah.
when Mando said Skywalker in this. I got like chills because I was like, they don't even say Luke's name in the other one. And when I say the other one in Mando season
Mando.
2, everyone just knows
Man.
us watching. That's
the-
Luke.
the
That's his
Jedi.
face. You got the
Right.
glove. He's got the green saber, and then they show him. But they're like, "Are you a
I'm a
Jedi?"
Jedi.
I am.
Yeah,
And he
I
does
am.
this whole thing. But then now he's like, "I'm looking for Skywalker," and I'm like, "Something has happened where he's
awesome.
now found out this is Luke
Yeah.
Skywalker." He talked to. He obviously got the coordinates
all
somehow
back
to
in.
find him, as far as where he is. Luke must have sent him a message or something like that. If you ever wonder where Grogu is, he's going to be right here.
Ping R2, and you'll be able to find me.
Yeah.
What's the deal with R2? Just I like how
That
there's
was funny.
just
It
a
just
long
shuts
ride.
off.
so Mando has the ability to enter into these things that are commonplace to us, and he doesn't know anything about
know.
about droid.
Droid, don't shut off.
Don't shut off. He's just treating him like a piece of garbage, like
Where's
just a piece of
Skywalker?
garbage.
Is this, how
Droid.
long is this
An
going to take? Is that a
ancient-
bench?
Rusty old piece of garbage droid. That's all he is.
Yeah.
He has
Is it-
no idea. He
droid.
is the center of every
Right.
major
No clue.
event in history.
I loved it
No
when
clue
Mando-
that he's one of the very reasons that all of them are alive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Multiple times.
Yeah.
I love when Mando's
Fascinating.
like, "Where's Skywalker?" How long is this gonna take? Is that a bench?
Are you building a bench?
Is anyone here?
Bench?
Is anyone alive?
Is anyone alive? Is that, yeah.
That is so funny.
So great.
The
Awesome.
So Pedro Pascal's acting in this, and again, I know a lot of times there's a different person in the suit, but his delivery of the voice. There's one time I almost got emotional, especially on second viewing, of him saying, "But I came all this way," and he has a break in his voice where he's like, the whoever's doing the acting under for a lot of like just the tilt of the helmet and him looking and he's saying like, "But I came." He's right there. I can see him. But it is enough that he knows that he's safe. He sees him from afar. But he does.
And that's why Ahsoka
that's when it hits him, too. It
Yeah.
hits him that I do want him to remember me. This is more for me.
Right.
I wanted to make sure he's okay. I see he's okay.
And,
Also, someone that I sort of trust in Ahsoka. He doesn't know her that well, but he trusts her enough that he offered. He was like, he trained the kid before.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He trusts Luke because he saw Luke save all of them from the Dark Troopers before. He sees that he's safe. And then she's like, "Are you doing this for him or are you doing this for you?" He's like, "Oh," and then it hits him, and then he's like, "I came all this way." And I remember watching it. And I watched it again with my wife Abigail this morning, and she turns to me and just goes, like, sorry about like, "Oh, that's sad. He's right there. He's not going to see him.
Head is
He's not going to see him."
Yeah, I know. I know.
And
But
the reach,
just such
too.
good. Yeah.
The reach as he
Mhm.
flies away. You made me think of something
It's
when you
awesome.
were talking about that. If the history of Mandalore and the Jedi are that they had some wars in the past, is it possible? Because I keep coming back to, is he gonna pursue this journey of becoming Mandalorian, of like getting that name back?
You mean
and-
Mando?
Mando? Is he gonna pursue that, going to the waters beneath? What would they say?
He's gonna.
The caves of
He's
Mandalore.
gonna
or
be the
whatever?
ruler.
Is he gonna go there and find out more information and that they hate the Jedi or like the ancient ways or whatever, that they had conflict with the Jedi, didn't trust them, all that stuff, and then him be like, "But that's not who I know.
Mm-hmm.
This is
That's
a
not
lie,
the
or at least what
Jedi
I've-
that I met that are taking care of Grogu. Grogu's not like that, and Luke's not like that,
Mhm.
and
Ahsoka
Ahsoka's
wasn't like
not
that.
like that.
Don't you? Yeah.
I don't know.
Don't you think? Don't you think Mando is uniquely situated to step into that role of leading Mandalore back? I mean, uniting and bringing them back. I
He
think
doesn't have
he's-
the baggage of the different clans, the different
Yeah.
houses of
I
this
think
is the
he's
way our family
uniquely
did. And this is it.
positioned,
Yeah.
having won the saber now and defended it now.
Mm-hmm.
The connection with
Yeah.
Luke Skywalker and Ahsoka to bridge that gap, to not be enemy of the Jedi anymore.
All right.
To step. I mean, I think it's.
And we kind of talked about this last week.
I think it's.
And you may have mentioned it too, was I think him kind of being denounced a Mandalorian is actually like freeing.
freedom up.
It freed him up because now he's like, well, if I've ever wanted to test what it's like to take my helmet off some more and actually grow these relationships with people
Mhm.
around me, not be a bounty hunter, not live in hiding, I'm already denounced as a Mandalorian. I can actually test these waters and do this, pursue this, to kind of start figuring out where my place is
Yeah.
in all of this.
And I think, yeah, you're right. And I think he's combining that with what he's seen from other Mandalorians. Like,
Yeah, with-
she's an heir
with
to the actual Mandalorian.
Bo-Katan,
They
yeah.
take their helmet off all the time.
Yeah,
And now you're telling me I'm not one when I know they are.
yeah.
Maybe,
totally.
Maybe you're not.
And it's that it's talking about him being the fitting the mold as the good
Yeah.
not necessarily the rightful heir, I guess, because he has the saber, but also like fitting. He would be the one that would be the good ruler, like I don't know, the right man for the job.
Yeah.
Is it also just fits kind of that classic storytelling of like who would be the best king, the one who doesn't want it.
That's
of
right.
like
Yeah.
it's not the one
He
who's the
didn't want
power
the
hungry
saber.
one who's
Yeah.
fighting over it and all this stuff because they're gonna do stuff for themselves.
Well,
The reluctant ruler who falls
for
into
sure.
Yeah.
it is the one who's gonna do stuff.
Which I
Exactly.
think
That's the
Bo-Katan
Arthur we're
falls
looking
in that
for.
a little bit.
Which talking about Excalibur, that's the whole dark saber as
For
they've
sure.
added the weight
Yeah.
to it. There's so much Arthur stuff there.
I was saying I think Bo-Katan kind of falls into that too, of what you're saying, of like she does want it. Like
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
given to her initially, but you could tell she does want it.
Oh,
Like,
is there any doubt in your mind that when she found out Din had won it from him, that she thought for a moment, should I kill? I mean, like,
Should
even
I
though
take-
Bo-Katan has been through
Yeah.
a redemptive arc, she wants that so badly
That's right.
that you know that the way she
Like-
played it too is she looks at him as you're immediately a threat to me. It's
Yeah.
not like, oh great, I hope he's a good ruler. I'll vote for you. Or it's
Yeah.
none of that.
No.
It's very much
You've got what I want.
It
Am I
does
willing to
say
kill someone?
something. It does say something. Now, in the moment of the show, it wouldn't fit, but it does say something. What was Vizsla's first? What was this Vizsla?
This is Paz Vizsla.
And,
Vizsla.
and the creator
And
of the
then
saber, Tar.
Oh yeah, Tar.
Tar
Paz
Vizsla.
Vizsla immediately challenged. Almost immediately.
Right when he
Immediately.
first saw it, his eyes. You can
It belongs to my
He had
family.
already decided it,
Yeah.
and then the
Yeah.
moment came.
Whatever.
Bo-Katan didn't do that.
tell. No.
She did not. She actually
True.
let it go out of her sight. Let
That's
it.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So, what I'm saying is, and it's because it's not because of her. I think it is partly, but I think it's because of his personality, who he is, the honor of the person. She immediately didn't see him as necessarily unworthy.
Yeah.
She saw him as
Sure.
an adversary, but didn't think this is an absolute disaster. I have
Yeah.
to take it right now.
Yeah.
I don't think she feels that way about him.
No.
She wants it, but not
Yeah.
She
because
doesn't. It's not
he's
because.
True.
bad.
Yeah. It's not
So
because she
she
doesn't
was-
think it would be bad for Mandalore,
She was
or that she thinks it would
conflicted,
be.
which is
yeah.
a
Things,
different
yeah.
place to be.
Two things. One, we now with getting more information from the armorer, if we can trust what the armorer is saying about the Thousand Tears, right?
Yeah, the Night of a
Yeah,
Thousand
Not a
That
Tears.
Thousand
seems real.
Tears. If we can trust her, I mean that's just one person's view. So
Could
maybe
have been
she's
100
not.
tears.
Maybe she's not a trustworthy narrator in this scene. Could have been 100.
That changes
But
everything. Night of 10 Tears.
is it possible that if that is true, then there's a part of Bo-Katan that the conflict comes from? Maybe I'm not. I was the ruler when this stuff happened. Maybe I'm not worthy.
I brought it. I caught it. Yeah.
Like, whether
my
it was
failure.
because of me, it doesn't matter because I was the ruler when it happened and it happened under my watch.
That's right.
Is there a part of her that maybe that could be
Could
some
be.
hesitant? And then on the opposite side of the coin, is there a part of her that's like, I want it to then prove that I am still a good ruler and that was a fluke. I don't know. It could go either way.
Gosh, there's.
I don't know.
I
There's
don't
just
know
so
where
much.
we were talking about. I'm just now thinking of all of our predictions, not just for Book of Boba Fett, but we're like, well, for season 3 of Mando, this is just going back a few weeks ago. We were like, for season 3 of Mando, there might be a little bit of some Grogu Luke stuff, but it kind of feels like that chapter is a little bit closed for now, and that might be a different spin-off thing, or he might come back eventually.
He's gonna
But
pursue all the Mandalore
but
stuff.
it's Mando, Darksaber, ruler of Mandalore. That's where it's all headed. And then they're like, well, actually, that's coming next week. And they give us a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And we're like, well, now, even though I still think that all that Mandalore stuff is happening, who in the world knows where Mando season 3 is going? Now that they've caught us up with the Luke Grogu stuff,
I don't
we're
know.
like, they're not going to spend a full 8 episodes of him just going
Yeah.
to Mandalore and then waiting and trying to be ruler or whatever. Like, who knows who he's going to come in contact with, where it's going to go, if that even happens. What we started the
Man,
whole
I'm telling
podcast
you.
with today was, I said right before we got on air, and then we said it on air, is when are we going to stop? I think I said first, too, of when am I going to stop?
Under?
Just like, underestimating
Yeah.
what I think they're going to do, or
Yeah.
or what I think Favreau and Filoni are going to do with these
Yeah.
shows. It's way bigger than they can do anything.
Yeah.
They can do
I-
more in
yeah.
this than they would in
A movie.
episode 9 as far as Rise of Skywalker.
Way
It'd be like,
more.
oh, they would be this or this.
Yeah.
It would be weird if all of a sudden Ahsoka showed up in episode 9. That wouldn't happen because this is about Rey, Finn, and Poe.
Mhm.
This is like, well, she can show up. She can show up next week. We have no
And-
idea.
They're establishing us the difference between reading a novel trilogy and watching a movie. They got 2 hours and 30 or 2:40
Yeah.
or maybe whatever. For Peter Jackson, 3 hours and 50. But you got to fit it within the box. You got to fit within
Uh-huh.
the box. You got to make cuts. You got to have exposition. You got to have
Sure.
character lines. You can't have 3 heroes. You got it's all those rules to make a movie work. That doesn't apply to a TV show.
Yeah.
Especially a streaming show where one episode can be an hour and the next can be 35
It
minutes.
doesn't matter.
It's not even a network
I'll-
show where
here-
we have to fit the 20,
make another-
27-minute box.
I'll
or
make
50.
a long-term prediction, a Mando
Oh.
prediction. Oh, I like it. I'm
already
green.
went.
I'm pre-greenlit. I think the trajectory of Mando is to become the ruler of Mandalore, and I think it was I do think he will receive training in the Darksaber, and this is a big one. And I do think
love
that
it.
he will pursue redemption in the waters on Mandalore.
I think you will too.
That will bring him back to the place where he begins this path.
Agreed.
Not because he wants it, but because they need him.
Agreed.
Will he, and this may be
Agreed.
an amendment to your bet, in pursuing the path of redemption, does he then realize that he doesn't need redemption
Bingo.
because they're
That's
the
what I
small
think.
little cult that's not
That's what I
he
think,
doesn't
yeah.
need it.
I think that will drive him there, but I think circumstances will draw him in somewhere to be a defender or fight with a faction on Mandalore
Yeah.
and he'll slowly begin to gain traction as the reluctant,
Yeah.
honest, just leader.
Yeah.
And he'll be thrust into the position where he'll suddenly become.
I think he'll find out a lot more information about Mandalore, the Mandalorians as a whole,
Yeah.
that will help steer him towards that.
And the
path.
reality is, I think he will discover that there has never been anyone who's more Mandalorian than Din Djarin.
Mm.
What's
Get
our bet?
chills.
On,
I
bet
like
on all
it.
of it.
I
Bet
like
on all
it.
of it. 3, 2, 1.
Boom!
Yeah!
Let's go. I think
Thank you
so.
for watching today's podcast.
Thanks,
We've
it's
given
been
you all
fun.
the answers.
Sorry to ruin 6 years
We
of
are sponsored by
TV.
The Mandalorian.
No, I don't know.
That's what I would. That would feel good
That
to
does
me.
feel
That would
right.
feel
That would
good.
feel good.
That'd
Feels
feel
good.
good.
Yeah.
I love it. Gosh, it's
And that's
just
the season. That's the chapter
I-
7 of Boba
Yeah.
Fett.
yeah, that's
That's chapter
So
that's
much of
tomorrow.
Boba Fett.
It's next week.
And then all of a sudden Mando does all this stuff, and all of a sudden Boba just pokes his head out and goes, "Quick little bugger." That's just Boba Fett. Closed chapter.
The Book of Man.
What would you
Book
like
of
to
Fett.
say to me?
Like a panther.
Like a
I wanted
panda.
to take a quick turn here.
Whoa.
What are
It's
some
not
of
acceptable.
We don't.
We don't
didn't
take
we
tangents.
stay
This
in
is the Star Wars
boxes.
Guys
Stay in
podcast.
boxes.
You can't talk about-
what are some of the, I guess, for lack of a better term, quote unquote, like fan servicey moments, like the things that you're like, oh, that was from this or that's from this type things throughout this? Because I felt like I noticed a handful of them. For instance,
Like different references and
different
stuff?
references. For instance, Grogu on Luke's back,
Mhm.
just like Yoda.
We didn't even get to
Luke
that yet.
doing the flip.
The flip.
The flip.
The flip.
That's
Mhm.
Things like that. What?
It's
all
not an
did you
accident
guys
why I
do?
wore my
Fine,
Empire
but
shirt
He did
today.
climb the bamboo.
You did.
Yeah,
That's
climb it.
true. We had the great Force theme
Yeah.
kick in
Force
there as they got to
theme.
the
Oh
top.
my
It's just
gosh.
my favorite.
So
favorite
what
song ever.
all of these things did you guys notice? I mean, obviously those ones, but
Well, there's a lot. I mean, I think that's a lot. This is why I think they did this so well. I don't think it was like, oh, here's just fan service for Oh, here's just for no reason. Here's the Ghost of Qui-Gon's here. Why is he here? Like, that's
Sure.
cool. What does that have to do with this show? That can be great and Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Definitely
Um,
gonna be there now.
Yes. But what they did do is they had stuff that tied into, well, it's not just even a small reference. They actually gave us the Flash a little bit of Grogu's Order 66 moment.
oh yeah, that was
We
great.
didn't really talk a ton
We
about
didn't talk
that,
about
but
that.
that was really cool.
That was sick. Seeing the clones. like
Actually,
that.
and just kind of seeing like the fear in his eyes, and you just feel the trauma of all this. He's suppressed all of his powers because they were hunting down all the Jedi, and
Right.
someone had to get him out of there. We still don't know who got him
I want
out.
to touch on that in a second.
Yeah, you had said something to me a little bit off air that you were had
Yeah,
some
we
speculation.
got a little prediction
You
for
think
that
it
one.
is a known name?
I will say this is
Yeah.
Nate's taking a swing for the fences, a wild one. I'm
Oh.
not saying it's not wrong. I'm not saying it's wrong.
I just think it makes sense.
You're saying it's,
just
completely
it's
wrong.
a biggie. Although it's
biggie.
on anyone who's watched, it's completely on brand for what Nate's
My
for
speculation is
Nate's
everything.
speculation. As far as Nate's speculation loves a certain C word.
Well, we saw them today.
What?
The clones.
Nate loves some cloning speculation.
Clone speculation. Yeah.
And so I won't bury the lead. I'll go back to what I was saying, but say who you think it is, because you told me earlier.
Well,
what
So
I
it
we're
is.
said-
discussing who it was that saved.
Who it was that
Grogu
saved-
from,
Who saved Grogu?
This is an out of the box guess, but
yeah.
it could be
this,
right.
This, whether it was this person directly or they were responsible for ordering this to happen,
Mhm.
I think it was Palpatine. I think Palpatine is responsible since the presence of Grogu. He knew he was involved with the Jedi.
Wow.
And that he had the plan for Snoke and the cloning for himself way back then. And he saw Grogu, knew Grogu's time frame, and thought, we're preserving this guy.
That
So I
is
think
an
the flashback
interesting
we saw of
take.
the clones coming after him, they could have been shooting him, and whether a clone or Grogu's by himself and they're protecting him, whatever it is, I think Palpatine is responsible for getting Grogu out and keeping him sort of on a secret thing of his own that he's doing, which is kind of the stuff we saw in Mando, which led to the cloners patch, the cloning facility that we saw
Wow.
in Mando, because we
Mhm.
know that Grogu, correct me if I'm wrong,
He's
but was
connected in there.
connected with the the what's now the fallen empire
right?
in this time period. So we know that he's been in this
So you think he's
connection
been
with the empire, and then Mando kind of saved him from that sort of thing in Mando. So
you think he's been with Palpatine's cloners for like 40 years? If he was taken then, or 30-ish years, if you think he was taken,
he could have been
like
yeah.
around the.
What if you take a step farther? What about this? What if he wasn't saved? He was placed by the Emperor in there. Wouldn't it make sense?
In
the Jedi Temple, in the Jedi
Temple?
Order.
Huh.
He was the one who got him there in the first place.
Mm-hmm. And then he was, because if you think about it, who would have the not only the position but the ability? We just watched these troopers mow down 3 Jedi.
Yeah.
They killed all the younglings. They killed anybody who was there. Who would have the power to get Grogu out without being killed? Palpatine. He could just say, "Not this one. Move along."
Yeah.
Not this one.
He could just
do
it.
I don't know. It just
I've got cloning.
could be.
plans
if
for
he's
you.
had Palpatine's always thinking ahead, and I just feel like
Contingency plans.
it could make sense. Now I could be completely off. It could have been
I was
some
thinking
name
either-
character that was a good Jedi that saved him. That could very well happen and make total sense. I just think from some of the stuff that we've seen with the
Would he
tease of the
want
cloning
him,
stuff,
though?
it kind of.
I'm wondering if he would want him alive. If the deal was to kill all the Jedi, would he want to leave one little baby Yoda, who's powerful Jedi in the
Palpatine's
universe?
nemesis?
Would he want to
essentially.
leave him?
My little
True, but
That is
part
a
of
stretch.
Palpatine would almost like that even more
Ooh,
because
It's
it's
like, I
like.
couldn't defeat Yoda, so
But
I'm
I
gonna make my
literally-
own Yoda.
But I think part of it also has to go with.
and Yaddle's
Yoda's-
like, "I'll do it." Shut up, Yaddle. You are useless.
I think part of it is Palpatine knowing Yoda's longevity.
That's perfect.
I'll
Shut
do
up.
it. I'll do it. How come Yaddle talks like the yokel from The
Yaddle.
Simpsons? I'll do it.
I'll do it. Yeah. Shut up, Yaddle. You're done.
Shut up, Yaddle. No, I think part of it is also knowing the longevity. He's got someone that he could test on forever.
Yeah.
And if he's successful, he could use it. I don't know. Huge speculation.
Man.
I don't know
It's a
if we'll
biggie.
ever even
That's
see
a
it. I
biggie.
just think it's. I feel like that's a question a lot of us are asking.
I believe it
who
will be
saved
revealed.
Grogu?
I believe it'll be
We'll
revealed
be able
too.
to see
And
that.
will it be a new person or will it be someone that we know? Because if it's someone we know,
I
who
think
could
it
it
has
have
to be
been?
somebody we know.
Maybe it's. I mean, it could have been Obi-Wan.
Did they say a Jedi?
I don't know.
Did Ahsoka? Did they say he was saved by a Jedi? Seemed like that was in the Ahsoka episode
Did
of
it say
Mando.
a Jedi? If it did, then
I
I
can't remember,
forget
yeah.
everything I just said.
I don't remember.
I had it in my brain that was a Jedi, but
Yeah, I
that
did too.
might
I
have been
was
just
thinking
because they were
someone
there.
had to have smuggled him out of there.
But it maybe not.
I mean, it could be. It could be something that we see in. I mean, who was there?
When you
We
said
know that-
C, were you saying Chancellor? Is that what you were getting at? You said C.
He was talking about clones.
Oh,
Clones.
clones. I said Nate loves a good cloning.
Cloners.
A good. Nate
Well,
always
those
comes back to
cloners.
cloning.
It's because they
Not
keep
that-
teasing it.
Come
Oh no,
Those
I'm not saying
saber
that that's
guys.
wrong.
No, I don't know.
No.
I mean, it could have been what
Could be.
other possibilities of people that we know? could have been-
Dax.
I mean, maybe.
Mace.
Dax.
I don't know.
Dax.
Dax.
But,
Yeah.
Dax. But Obi-Wan went with Yoda after everybody was kind of mauled down. And he was like, "Who could have done this?"
Yep.
And they see that it. So. but I don't know if
Ahsoka
he
wasn't
was
anywhere
really there when
close.
it
Obi-Wan
happened.
wasn't aware. Man,
I don't. Who would have? Yeah, I don't know.
what if it
Unless
was
Cal.
it was Anakin?
Anakin saved him.
Yeah.
He's been good
You
the whole
spared
time.
that one, not this one.
I'm taking you as my little pet.
You'll be my pet. You will love sand.
You will call me master in time.
I don't know. Any other little
Man,
like teaser cameo
Oh,
type things?
One of the
Easter
things,
eggs, I
the
guess, Easter
reference,
eggs.
I did
it
have
was
a
a
question
little-
about that too. Yeah.
a little hint kind of at her. It was a hint at her relationship with Anakin of her line to Luke about sometimes, I don't remember the exact quote, but sometimes essentially the master is learning from the apprentice.
Yeah.
Because she had some moments with Anakin where he even acknowledged like Ahsoka, like he learned stuff from Ahsoka
That's right.
with the way she treated
Yeah.
people, and also kind of her just essentially unending optimism as far
That's
as like
right.
the people. That's one of the things, and he already had a lot of that in him, but there was a bravery there and like an optimism of there's
Sure.
no person left behind, that he got some of this stuff for Ahsoka, and then she also had to
For
reel in some of the stuff when he would go a little bit over the edge.
Yeah.
But it was funny hearing her then say stuff to Luke about, like, just like your father, about him. He had some good, just their relationship. It was funny how she would hint toward Anakin. That was what I was getting at, which I like. I can't wait till we actually get the big
That may have been
conversation.
my favorite moment of the whole episode was her looking at
Luke gives a good smirk
Luke
there
and
too,
acknowledging, and she just says, "So much like your father."
It would have been funny, if, like I was saying earlier, if they hadn't had the conversation yet.
She's like,
Yes.
"My father."
Who are you?
You knew my father?
You know my father?
What's that flash? You know the Clone Wars? With the Empire?
I
You
used
know
to
the
play
rebellion against the Empire?
216 back home. They're not much bigger than 3 meters.
I told you to forget it. That wizard's just a crazy old man. He's a wizard? I think that line was cut. It should have been in there, episode 4. Wait, he's a wizard?
He's a wizard.
I had a question about this idea of fan service,
Oh.
Sure.
right? Whenever we talk about that feels like a negative.
I know.
Yeah,
That's why I don't like the
definitely.
term.
So I'm
Easter
curious
egg.
though. Do you think that they are looking at this going, "Ooh, why don't we? Ooh, what if we did? Ooh, why don't we? Oh, hey, what if we?
Like
what if we?
fans will love this, or
Yeah, let's do that in there because." Or are they thinking of what would be there? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'm asking the right
I
question.
think I get what you're saying.
Do you
I
think
know
their
what you
Strictly
motives?
story based.
Do you think their motives are to throw candy at us, or do you think their motives are because they want to see it?
They themselves.
Yeah,
That's what I think it is.
that's what I would be doing.
Yeah.
Like, oh
Yeah.
man, it'd be
I
perfect.
think.
Why doesn't he
that goes
fly the
I think that
path
goes
of
hand in
the-
hand though, because I think they are just as Favreau's just as much a fan.
So
Filoni's
can we-
just as much a fan of Star Wars as we are.
Can we rename this term then?
Oh,
Okay.
this is big.
Oh.
Henceforth,
Ready,
henceforth,
You shall be known as
fan service
service.
will be known as Favreau service.
Oh, I like it.
I really think they're
Favreau
doing it for themselves. Like, oh, I would want to see.
Isn't that the whole reason why
This.
Favreau got involved in these projects in
Huge
the first
fan.
place?
He's like,
Yeah.
this is stuff
He wanted to play
he
with
talked
his
about
action
in
figures.
college. He used to write these stories too in his dorm. He said, I
Right.
used
Yeah.
to sit there and I think about this, and he did. He kept using that analogy of like I'd have the bucket of toys and I'd dump them
Yeah.
out and
I
I'd play
really-
this stuff.
But
This
But
is
I-
what he's
guys-
dreamt of. Yeah,
But don't we use the term? I mean,
it's
aren't we
definitely
the,
used with a negative.
aren't we the
It is.
ones who pay for all this stuff?
Yeah.
Don't we
for
pay
sure.
for the whole thing? Isn't
Yeah.
Kathleen Kennedy in charge because we saw those movies all those years ago
Yeah.
and we bought all the toys and we watched
Oh,
all the
yeah.
shows? So, fan service is that's what this whole thing is supposed to be,
That's
the
what
show
every
is
sequel, every
fan
prequel,
Yeah,
the whole thing,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
We think this. Oh, it's progressing the storyline. Well, the storyline is only there to serve us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
I guess like, do you mean
I
like
love it. Yeah,
like do you mean like for instance, Luke's flip? They could have easily just had him run and the story would have been just the same. But the
Right.
flip is then allows someone watching to be like, that's
it
this is
increases
shot
our
the same way.
enjoyment.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I
I
don't
think
find
it-
that as
I
fan
don't-
service as much as I like that. That makes me feel something
That's-
about what I remember as a child when I first
Yeah.
saw Luke do the flip on
That's-
Dagobah.
I
It's
think
a
that's-
positive.
yeah.
It gets a positive reaction out of us, other than just I see what you did there.
Mhm.
It's more-
I see what you did there, but I like
I
that.
like
Oh,
it.
nice.
And it's the
That meant a lot to you too.
It's
it meant
the
a lot to me.
opposite of what some other people have
Huh.
done to intentionally avoid things. I don't think that's good either.
No.
Sure.
I
So
think it's a great
let me
thing.
ask you this then:
Favreau
this
service.
idea of Favreau service.
I don't know. It's,
Is there
that's
a
a dumb
point
idea.
or
yeah.
fan service? Is
Yeah.
there a point, and if so, what would that point be of that's too far? Of like this was is it just if it's something that you don't think fits the story very well, it felt forced, or it's like
Forced?
that felt
Filled fools.
that felt
I don't know. I would say
because there's definitely people that have not just of Star Wars, of any movie that has Marvel whatever, where they're like that felt fan servicey, it felt forced. I don't know if it fit the story. So
I think
I've
there's
heard
a
these criticisms.
sensibility. We could call it the McClunky rule. There is a line
like
there. It's an
this term.
unwritten, unspoken, unmarked
Yeah.
line that when you cross it, we know. Oh, that was weird.
I also don't think the
Yeah.
line's the same for everybody.
It's not
There's some people
for
that would
every
say,
show,
"Give
every-
me as much
right.
of this as possible."
Right.
There's some people that are like, "Eh."
I'll use an example. There's Nate and I talked about this in season 1 of Mando during the Toro Calican
The high
episode.
ground thing.
That that he
Sure.
mentions high ground, And it
That's
was
a
one
good-
thing in that
that's a
episode
good
that for
point.
me immediately I felt like that was kind of forced. Did they just throw that in to just like, now we need to establish that high ground's a thing? But it
Yeah.
wasn't like he was just like, no, over there because they have the high ground and then we're done. And it just felt like for some reason it felt like they
Yeah.
kind
Didn't
of shoved
fit
that
very
line
well.
in there. Versus, yeah, it's cool that we saw like.
So that was too much.
I
It
think
is.
I
It
can
is
help.
hard because there is a fine line. I think like there's times where there's something that they choose to have this person be the one that they go meet at the cantina or at this bar because it fits the story and because it's cool. And then there's other times when they also just pan and include a little Easter egg, which is not essential to the story, but it also doesn't disrupt anything. Like going through Beggar's Canyon was like, of course, when he's got his ship and he's there, it's cool to give us some pod race feels
Right.
because the last time we saw
Sure.
someone going fast on
Because what happens?
on
Everyone looks
Tatooine
at
was
that
this.
scene and goes, "Oh, there's the wood. It's still
there's
broken."
the
on the
Anakin
side.
thing.
There's
Like
the-"
that's
Like,
that's
yeah.
something that doesn't detract. It doesn't. It would make sense if we went back to there
No.
that we would see something versus it being something completely out of nowhere. Like I
can
use the
throw out a-
example of
Yeah.
why would Qui-Gon the ghost of Qui-Gon is now on. Why does he need to train Grogu? He has no tie to him when
Right.
Luke's here and this. Like that
Sure.
would be like cool. I want to see Qui-Gon. That feels like that would be forced. in
I
that
think one of the things
scenario.
that might help with this, when it's dialogue, it's much easier to be weird. When it's visuals, it's much easier to be, because typically
That
we would
makes
call
sense,
those
yeah.
Easter eggs. Like, oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, Easter.
Yeah. Easter egg, a lot of visual.
dialogue can be like
Eh,
feels weird. Like
Yeah.
when they walk in when the bomb is in the ice cream maker.
Yeah.
Sure.
That makes sense
Yeah.
because it doesn't have to be that, but it's kind of
Yeah.
there's
Makes
the
sense.
thing.
Yeah. There's the Cam Tunnel. Yeah.
I don't know. I was just curious. I love fan service. That's what I'm paying for.
That's
I
what
don't
I'm
want-
looking for.
I want service,
Yeah.
I'm a fan.
Service.
and I want service.
I demand service.
Demand it.
Serve me. Yes.
No, I think
On
I do
demand.
think what you guys are saying though. There is a line like the high ground thing where it does kind of take you out of it. You're like, yeah, that's
I tell my kids, man, if you creating something like the number one thing, I think the number one thing when creating any piece of art is taste. If you have good taste, you can spend weeks, months, years developing something. If you have good taste, it's gonna land.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you have poor taste and you spend weeks, months, years developing something, it's gonna feel weird. So
Sure.
when you get somebody who has really good taste and exceptional skill and love for something, then you get something at a high level. And I think Filoni is a great mix of knowledge and taste.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's a great combination. And when you put those together, and I really believe Favreau's amazing. I think it might go a little too far one way if Favreau was in control.
Yeah.
But I also think Favreau keeps Filoni pushing him on to the edge so we don't spend 6 episodes talking about the wills of the Force. I think that helps as well. It's I think it's a great combination.
I think you're
Huh.
right. I think there's very much because I feel like Filoni. It's an interesting dynamic where I think they both push each other outside of their comfort zones. They
Favreau
both
wants to play
really-
with the toys. Filoni wants to develop the. I think
Yeah.
it's yeah.
And they
Yeah.
both push each other out of their comfort zone. They both reel each other in to not go too far.
I think
It
it's
feels
great.
like
It's a great
because, like you said, Favreau has as far as a feel. He loves that original trilogy feel. He's talked about it a bunch.
Absolutely.
At the heart of everything is like it has to feel like this. This is what he said since day one is
Yeah.
it has to feel like this.
Mhm.
Even at the expense of saying on the Disney panel, like, well, I'm not a big fan of prequels, but I want the original. And Kathy and Dave
Like,
are like,
you can't,
this is the head prequel over here.
Come on,
essentially,
come
he
on.
didn't make the prequels, but he's in charge of
Yeah,
all prequel
right.
stuff.
Right.
He's like, but I know Dave loves that stuff, so it'd be good working with Dave. It was just a very funny. We're like, what is he saying?
And they had a ton of prequel stuff last chapter.
But without Dave, Favreau doesn't understand the love for all that stuff.
Mhm.
Tell me there's any chance that Cad Bane shows up in this if it's just Favreau? There's no chance. Even though Favreau is tied to Clone Wars because he voiced Pre Vizsla in Clone
Sure.
Wars, but probably what Favreau takes out of Clone Wars is not the same thing that Filoni takes out of Clone Wars or like the actual.
It's also different when
Filoni loves
Filoni's
to
helping
dive into-
create those stories too.
Exactly.
He's
He's in the
creating
boardroom. He's in
those.
the meetings with George when he's talking about the philosophies of the Force and all this stuff.
Yeah.
The dialogue we get in this episode, as far as even though a lot of the overall story has been written by Favreau, when you get Filoni who's in charge of this episode, the specific things that a Jedi would say to their Padawan is something that I think all three of us would be like, between the two of them, I definitely trust Filoni a lot more of what he would say as far as the actual, not just what would be the video game cool thing to see, but what is consistent to what is at the heart of a Jedi. That's Filoni stuff. But then having the feel of it feel very much like the Star Wars thing that's this cool lived-in experience without it just being space whales the whole time. Favreau would be like, no to space whales. And then, but I do like this, and this, and like, okay, cool. But now you're stepping on some canon stuff that we can't do,
go there.
John. You can't do that. We gotta go
okay,
here.
you fix that, right?
And together, it makes just like the most perfect.
I can make a guarantee.
Odd couple version of this thing.
I guarantee you, Favreau would not allow 3 episodes in a row on droids.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that is true.
And I'm thankful for that.
Yeah,
That's
for sure.
true.
I mean, no offense to droid lovers, but I skipped those on Rebels.
What we're getting
or
at, I
Clone
think,
Wars.
is neither of them by themselves would nail it exactly.
No.
But to them, both of them together, it makes just.
I think it keeps it on a certain. Great comment. Maybe my favorite comment so far. Did you see it on there?
Go for it. I don't. Which one are you talking about?
BSP. Fun fact: Ahsoka is a Hindu name. It means one without despair.
Love it.
Thanks for that comment. That's
love
awesome.
it.
And welcome to the chat. Welcome to the channel.
Welcome,
Chad.
Chad.
Everything about her is this uplifting.
Absolutely.
It's just every time she talks, I'm like comforted. Like Ahsoka, just
know it.
Come over to my house
and
it's
tell
not
me
even.
Story. It's Rosario Dawson. She just moved into that character.
She did so well.
Yeah.
But the mature version.
Yeah.
It's neat.
It is. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
You also made me think of another Easter egg moment was Luke addressing Yoda speak. He talked in riddles.
Right.
He said, "Do they all?"
Have you ever remember that?
Does everybody talk
like
that?
Man, I would love to hear that.
That was great.
And then so he also addressed the way Yoda spoke.
I was gonna say, Luke, you haven't picked up on this yet. This one doesn't talk at all, sweetheart. He doesn't say anything.
Do we think we're ever getting a Grogu actual speak, or is it just? Remember how we were like, "Do you think we'll ever get a name?" And then they got Grogu, and we're like, "Dang, they nailed it."
Got it.
Dang.
Well, let's think about it. Grogu's 50, right? Or 50 some.
You think he'd be able to talk about
well, let's just do the math.
Train
Yoda lived
Force,
to be 900.
Something like that.
So that's roughly 1/18th of his life. 50 years, right? 1/18th. So someone lived to be 50. 1/18th would be. Everybody do the math. Old enough to talk. That's the bottom line. Old enough to talk.
He's old enough to do backflips.
He's old enough to do backflips. But you know how it is when people suppress things.
Yeah.
Some people would suppress other things. They wouldn't.
For sure.
They're told to be quiet. They're kept in eggs.
Yeah.
They're cloned.
People are always kept in eggs.
So you don't want to talk.
Always kept in.
I think what's going to happen
is
is
that comment was
he's going to unlock.
People are always kept in eggs. I have nothing to back that claim up. I was never kept in an egg.
He's going to start talking. He's never going to shut up, and we're going to have Mando sitting there going, and he's just.
He's like, now you choose the time to talk.
You got another one.
You should return to your people.
You should return to your people.
Shut up.
I got another.
Don't you
one
like
for
the ball anymore? Something.
Yeah.
Here's a frog.
Yeah, take the ball. Take another frog. Take all the frogs. I thought of another one. So the crate dragon skull.
Oh my goodness!
Not only that, in the bar scene with Vanth and Mando, did you notice that the inside the bar now was the crate dragon rib cage? Bones.
Did
not see it.
Go look at it. When they're sitting down, they pull back a view from behind the bar, and on the ceiling around where they're sitting is crate dragon rib cage.
What do they call it now? Freetown?
That's hilarious.
Freetown.
Freetown?
The bartender. It's called Freetown.
Freetown now. Yeah, suits us better.
Suits us better because we're a town and we're
it was great.
We're not slaves anymore.
BSB also said, "I love how all the droids can shut themselves off." R2
shut himself off.
It's great.
Come on, bring back the message.
So that's the best ghosting.
Bring back the entire message.
That is great. That's great.
Oh my gosh.
Why did he do that?
It's just I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Maybe he's going into his reserve power mode like he's going
he
to for
came
Force
back,
Awakens.
though.
No.
So I'll shut down for a while.
I thought that though. At first second, I was like, "Wait, did we just see?"
Was
this
that
shut
it?
off?
Was that the last thing?
But then
I don't know why.
Droid.
Join.
Don't shut down.
Oh man.
No.
Well, that's the one in the Boba Fett episode where he turned himself off.
I
Yeah.
know.
You little rat.
He does
Quick little bugger.
Bugger. Like a
Oh
man.
gosh, we have one more episode left of this, and then it's gonna.
All right.
But we don't know.
I got a bold bet.
Oh, okay,
Oh,
go. I was
a
gonna
bold
make one
Boba Bet.
Boba has no lines in Chapter 7. No, I'm just kidding.
3, 2, 1. All of them up.
All right.
No, he
I
will.
think I've made this like 3 weeks in a row, but we haven't seen Boba, so does that count? I think we'll
No, where he's going.
we'll finally see Boba riding the Rancor.
Oh.
3, 2, 1.
Yes,
Hey,
of
let's go.
course.
Thumbs up.
And you know how he's going to be riding it?
Like a
panther. Like a panther.
Like a
Like a
panther.
panther.
I love that's
think,
my favorite.
at first, I was saying, "Oh, they might need to show his training," but then the more I thought about it, I'm like, "Why?" He
No.
shut that down immediately.
He
when
did. He
said,
says,
"I've
"Oh,
ridden
I've
the
ridden
base 10 times
10
this
times
size."
the
And
great- this size.
They'll
Base
show-
can feel such things.
These base can feel such things.
Why is that one of my favorite lines? Is his base can feel such
Feel
things.
such things?
It's such a great,
Oh man!
great line.
But
Danny
I
Trejo.
think we'll finally get it. I think we'll, and they're setting up this battle. They're really queuing this thing up. So I think we'll see him ride in with the Rancor.
You know, when we did the chapter 5, the first thing I said to my kids, Daddy Mando go bye-bye. Because this was Vicious Mando.
Yeah.
And now we come to this one, and he's back to this
Yeah,
the
he's
calm.
back.
Daddy Mando's back, and I
He is back.
don't know how it's gonna work if he comes.
Yeah.
Maybe he shouldn't come back. to the
Close your
battle.
eyes, Daddy's got to go.
Don't look,
kill.
Daddy's
lot
got to
of
go to
fights.
work now.
Yeah.
Daddy's got to go kill people. I don't know. So maybe he
So-
won't come back.
Do we think there's still? So Cad Bane, right? It's the thumbnail. It's the base. The chapter is named after him.
Yeah.
Is there going to be a reveal that there's someone higher up, or is it just the Pikes hired him, or is there still someone that is going to be revealed that is kind of leading this whole charge? That
There's
hired-
only
'cause
one episode
Cad
left.
Bane
It's
is
hard.
a guy. He's a
Cad
bounty
Bane's
hunter.
a hired hand. He's a hired gun.
He's a hired
Yeah.
hand.
Is it
And I don't
all
see
the Pikes?
Pikes. Even if it is the Pikes, who's the head Pike? Like, who is the one calling the shots on all this? Are we going to see that reveal?
The Pike of Pikes. The Prince of Pikes.
Prince of
Prince
Pikes.
of Pikes.
I like that. Gosh, I don't know. I had been saying I think that there's,
The Kira thing? Is that where you're going?
I was gonna say I had been saying that I thought that there was maybe going to be a Kira, something behind it all as far as whether it's
Crimson
a Crimson Dawn or a different syndicate that was behind the Pikes or teaming up with the Pikes. Although with them showing Cad Bane, it could also be that it's not necessarily just the Pikes themselves that they're afraid of, but who the Pikes have hired as hired muscle.
More than him.
That it's more than just Cad Bane, and that there's maybe
Do you think there's more than
Other
just
people.
Cad Bane, or is it just Cad Bane? Do you think they've hired others?
I think that if we get to a big showdown,
we see
and
a
it's the
Ca-
Pikes and just Cad Bane,
No Bosk?
Oh,
Boss could be that would be
How
a
crazy would that
Trandoshans
be?
have agreed
Dengar or-
to stay neutral. They could,
It's true,
they
but
could
he's
break
kind of
out.
does his own thing.
He
I
could,
guess.
yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. It's hard because if there was multiple episodes, I'd say still yes. I still think there might be. Because look at me, I'm gonna underestimate them
Which
again.
one?
What
Yes
they
to
can do.
what? More people?
That there's more. That there's a bigger, broader something above all of it. Overall, just the Pikes. I
Mhm.
still think there might be. I don't think we're at the end of surprise characters showing up. I think that there's more. There is more in the final episode. There will be more people introduced into the story.
I
Agree.
Oh, is he looking at it again?
no, it's not there,
He's
but
looking at it.
I'm remembering.
Mm.
I think there will be.
I'm with you.
Um,
I can't wait to find
I'm
out
not
if
gonna
we're
say
thinking
which,
of the same
Which
person.
side?
Yeah.
I do agree. I think both sides will have
Mm.
more people.
I think that we're thinking of the same person.
Darn. I yeah,
Say it
well,
on 3. Ready? No, no, no.
Right? Right? This would be good. 1, 2, 3. 0.
Zero.
Zero the Hut.
Zero the Hut.
Yep.
Fighting
Like a
as a
bantha.
third party.
Fighting like a bantha.
Fighting like a with actually the mayor's major domo who starts his own third faction. and they fight.
What is the major domo
Scheduled
doing in
vacation.
that meeting?
I think he was handcuffed.
He was handcuffed.
so they
That's
had him.
right. It's just
But
I did
why
think
let
it's
him even
funny,
listen
though.
to the
Weird.
plans? I don't know. Yeah.
hear his voice yell from down below.
Yes.
Somebody shut him up.
He's down there playing Rancor
Rancor chess.
with Danny Trejo.
Oh man.
Man, I don't.
Oh,
So
man.
can we do the math real quick?
I think there's someone showing up for sure.
On the good side, on the Boba side,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boba Fett, Dark Chrysanthemum, Fennec Shand, Mando,
Did we count Rancor?
Rancor,
Rancor
who we
mods,
mods,
Gamorreans,
Gamorreans.
any of Cobb Vanth's
Any-
people.
Yeah, I was gonna say
So
any
they
of
don't
his
have an
people.
army though, right?
No,
How many are in? How many of the Pikes are there? This
we haven't seen. I don't know.
50?
A number, yeah.
How many
It's gotta be
piled
a
out
lot.
of that
They
ship?
came out.
Cad Bane.
25.
Yeah, and Cad Bane.
Cad Bane.
I think the Rancor will count for at least 20 or 30 pikes.
just release the Rancor. If there's only
Yeah.
20. It's over.
Yeah,
Gosh,
You don't think he's gonna
there's
pull in
got-
some
I know you guys
I feel
are
like
trying.
he-
You guys are trying not to say stuff.
You don't think he's gonna pull in some Tuscans?
Maybe, but does he want to get the Tuscan slaughtered again? Because he feels
No.
responsible for
No,
the
he doesn't.
first go around.
He doesn't.
I think there's definitely someone, since I haven't seen any spoilers, not that I know of. I
To be
think
fair, I
there's-
hadn't seen. I've only heard.
Heard.
He's seen.
Okay.
I saw it.
He's heard nothing, seen everything. I
You
heard
sure
something from a
seen
YouTube video,
nothing.
which could be completely false.
I
don't know.
think there will be someone that is behind the Pikes. I've been saying it all along. From the first
Kira?
episode. I don't know if it's Kira. But there's somebody bigger that's
So
behind the
here's-
Pikes that
I
hired
agree.
Cad Bane.
You know why I agree? I agree because when Boba Fett's team defeats the Pikes, it ain't over.
I do agree with
Yeah.
that.
Has
Yeah.
to be. 'Cause
Exactly.
that allows them to win the war and not
Marking
Yeah.
out.
win the battle, but not win the war. Because
Right.
we got to
Yeah.
have something. We got to have a cliffhanger.
I
there.
even made the comparison to Solo, where Kira takes out
That's right.
Dryden
Dryden Voss.
takes him out, but then you find out this is a lot bigger than Dryden Voss.
Right.
He's the guy you kind of see throughout the movie, but then you realize, oh, Darth Maul is the one running Crimson Dawn.
Right.
I do feel like you're
we're
right.
Seeing
I
the
feel like there's
Pikes,
someone else.
We're seeing the mayor even as a puppet so far of doing this stuff.
I mean, we know the big guy never stepped. The
right.
main one never
There's
steps
someone
into
that's
the
doing
battle.
that's behind this that might be okay. They won. Well, now maybe I get involved. That type of thing. Like
Because the Pikes
they
have been
may taken
around.
control.
Yeah, Pikes have been around. All
That's
of a
right.
sudden, they've got so much muscle
Right.
that no one can stand up to them.
No.
And the Hutts are scared to just the Hutts? I don't know. There's someone bigger
Yeah, I think
involved.
there's someone
and
else.
it's gonna end with yeah.
We're gonna see them. I think Boba Fett and crew are gonna win this battle, but the war is still going because they're gonna reveal who was behind it.
They
that they're
reveal
gonna be
Maul
coming.
is still alive.
Man,
After all
that'd
this
be
time.
awesome.
This time, no legs and just one arm.
Just one arm.
It's just barely. It's
still
just
has
a head.
Still has a hole in
It's
it.
just a
yeah.
head. The whole body's spider at this point. Mechanical, just
Man,
with a
yeah.
head.
Why not? He's more machine than
Can you
man. man.
imagine?
He's
Nah.
more machine now than man. You kidding? He's just a head.
He's all
only
machine.
he's
He's
only
just a head.
I think there's definitely someone. I
Oh,
just
man.
don't know who it is. Possibly if it's a Crimson Dawn tie. Now they did use the ice cream maker, right?
Yeah.
And they did it in a way that was very Solo-like, where they
Right.
push it in. It's the same
It closes
graphic.
up, same thing.
Whereas Solo, they had the coaxium in there, so that's
Mhm.
definitely a tie to Solo.
Mm-hmm.
The crate, where the spice was on, I looked for any Crimson Dawn logos. I didn't see anything, but it still gave me that kind of black and goldish vibe
Yeah.
of Crimson Dawn. So maybe Crimson Dawn and Kira could be behind this. I don't know how old she'd be at this point, but
This person would be on the good side, but give me an old Emphas Ness.
an old Emphas Nest, the
Oh.
whole crew comes
Oh, the
in.
whole crew.
Is it?
I just forgot that. I mean, we
That's right.
saw her at that age, but
That's right.
it doesn't mean that they're not still.
Oh,
Out
just
and
a
about.
kid.
Wait. If they're smuggling spice, is it possible Han's in here?
Oh, I thought you were
Oh,
going to say Poe. He
thought he was
gonna
gonna say-
Poe might be
He's
too
would be
young.
born.
I thought he was gonna say Paul Atreides.
Oh, Paul
Paul
Atreides.
Atreides.
Spice.
Poe
Paul.
might not.
Poe
might be
is in
too
both.
young. But I was gonna say,
Yeah.
did Han go back to his ways?
Was Han a spice? Did he run spice?
Spice?
I don't know. He was a
He
smuggler.
has ties to
He was a smuggler.
He was a
obviously
smuggler.
ties to Corellia.
Corellia?
He's got
Could
ties
be.
to Corellia.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Corellia.
A lot of
definitely-
Tatooine running through there.
Yeah.
Definitely
He has
Tatooine.
him and
Tatooine.
Boba.
Tatooine. There's history.
He and Boba. There's definitely
Could you imagine if Han shows up
the thing
as
is.
de-aged?
Well, how would that be? Which side though? He
Oh,
can't
which
be
side
on-
would he fight on?
He's just
Is
smuggling
he not,
in between
he's not
the
on
battle.
Boba's side.
Boba's,
It's not on
Boba's like,
side.
he's the one who put me in the pits, but I've
I
No,
get
I
it.
don't,
I
I'm
could
just
use a
kidding. I
gun.
don't think Han's
forget
gonna
him.
be in it. But if he was,
I
that
don't
would
know
be,
where he would
that
fit. Which side though? How would that
he
even
just
work?
he just walks out and he sees both these guys and he's like, well, I'm definitely not with you. And then he looks over there and he
I
sees a
kinda
blue
killed
guy
that.
with red eyes and goes, I don't think I'm with you either. He just backs out and he just gets back on the Falcon
Is
and
it
just
pop?
that feels
No.
like a
Just grabs
Family
all the
Guy. That
extra
feels like a
spice.
Family Guy episode or something. He
Help
shows
me
up and
load
he's
the
like,
ship. And he's like,
I think I'm gonna get the heck out of here. He just gets out.
what if it's Ganja
Lois?
Club?
Conja Club.
I never made a deal with Conja Club.
Tell that to Conja Club.
The Conja Club.
What was the other time?
What
was the other time?
What was the
That's so
second one?
good.
That's what it
Where
was.
is this?
I don't know. I'm just trying to think. If I do think there's a bigger bad guy, that's kind of running bad guys' perspective, I guess, in Star Wars.
Right.
Everybody
Yeah.
has bad. So I mean, but if
But
there
Boba
is,
Fett's now good.
Good. The good
he's
guy.
a good bad. If there is someone else behind the Pikes, I'm just trying to think logically, like out loud, who could it be? Obviously, we mentioned Crimson Dawn, maybe Akira, but outside of that,
The ghost of Tobias Beckett.
the other one I said
He's a
The
force
ghost.
ghost.
of.
He gets a Force Ghost. That swindler.
But the
Woody's in
other
everything
thing I
else.
was thinking of, which I think I mentioned before, is like, is there an Empire involvement at any point where it's like Thrawn or someone is like, is there? And that's Ahsoka's in this episode.
I want
That's
that. I want a replay
massive.
of that Uncle.
Just take.
Build up.
Because we
Just
know
starts
in the
floating.
void of the Empire.
They've already dropped the name too. We know he's coming up
You
eventually.
know he's got
Who?
Ahsoka ties.
Thrawn,
Thrawn.
yeah.
Ahsoka tie. So if Ahsoka delivers
Man,
Legion
Grogu,
General Pride. We got Pride in Rise of
True.
Skywalker.
Right,
He's
right.
around this time.
True.
This would be obviously like 20 years earlier or so, but you give me a little bit of
I'm just trying to
a
think of
younger
who
Pride?
could
I
who
don't know.
could be running, who could be calling the shots. It's got to be someone with power, and any of these fallen Empire fragments that want to claim that power for themselves could step in and try to.
Well, who's in that part of the galaxy too?
Well, they're moving.
feels
They're
beneath-
moving into this.
This
part
feels
of the galaxy.
beneath Thrawn to me a little bit.
Yes,
Maybe
I think Thrawn is off doing his
think-
own thing
I
with the
think Thrawn
cloning
is-
stuff.
he doesn't pour our money.
I think
he,
I think
he,
based on
I
his
have it
time.
set in my
power.
mind that Thrawn is the one responsible for all the Snoke cloning, and he's the one doing all that. That's for some reason I think that's where
Ooh.
Thrawn is, and that's why it was a secret. That's why he was never involved in the OG
He had to
trilogy
stay.
because he was doing the Emperor's bidding on the side.
Has she gone? Has Ahsoka gone to go find Thrawn yet? Because in Mando, where's Grand Admiral Thrawn? And then now
Yeah.
we get her, and she's chilling with
Hanging out in
Luke.
the
She's just
bamboo, man.
hanging out.
But
And
if she had, is there a chance that
is
Ezra and
Ezra's
Sabine would have been
around? Or
found?
is,
Does Sabine show up?
Whoa!
he
Who better
snapped.
to train the
that
dark
makes me
saber?
trust him. I think it's
Who
happening.
better to train him on the dark saber?
Ooh.
Well, there's a lot better.
There's a
but I
lot
mean,
better.
there's-
But she
Who
had
could
it.
be?
She had it.
right.
I don't know. I'm still stuck on a villain character that I don't.
Who's gonna run? Who's running the whole
Yeah,
thing?
If it's the Empire, if it's someone tied to the Empire.
Couldn't it
if
just be
it's-
the Hutts? They've been lying. They're just still running.
Could it be the Hutts?
They just backed out and they're running
Could
everything.
be, yeah.
and,
They're like, it turns out we don't want to be in the line of fire.
We just want to
We'll
be out
control
of it. We're
stuff,
still gonna
yeah.
be controlling.
Turns out you
it.
never checked if Jabba died. He survived.
Ooh.
Oh, you don't. You
Look
don't
at the
think
Jabba
it's
ghost.
This might be a big swing, but you don't think that's. You don't think it's Watto. You don't think it's Watto, do you?
Watto.
Boba.
Boba.
Pikes.
Annie. Boba.
Little Annie.
It is you, Boba.
I had spice. I sold it.
That's all
made
it.
some money.
Nothing personal, just business.
Just
eh?
business.
I am a Titanian. Magics don't work on me. That was convenient, I thought.
Yeah, that was good.
Right.
But I can't be fooled by spinning dice.
I can't be fooled by that. Was confusing.
Right in front of me, it fell, and I believed it.
Oh my
Take it. She's so dejected.
I don't
wasn't
know.
that bad,
I
man.
don't know, and I just
Oh,
have a
man.
feeling you guys aren't mentioning anything because you might know. So we'll leave it at that. We'll see.
I casually go.
Am I the Mike Syndicate? Is that my name?
Oh, the mics.
The Mikes.
You're the mics.
I'm the Mikes.
Mike's.
Mikes. I don't know.
The Mike Syndicate.
Either that or I'm a biker scout. It's like a biker
Oh,
scout.
that's right.
I don't know.
Poor guy's still hunting for
We
his
still have to
I want
figure
a
out your
name.
name.
Help
Mike
me.
Syndicate.
Somebody
Grand
put
Mike
a
Targan.
Grand Mike Target.
Mike Mothma.
I just felt like Mike Skywalker feels
Good.
right.
If my name was Mook, that would be perfect.
Luke.
Oh man,
Yeah. The Michaelorian.
Michaelorian. I like
Mike Goo.
Mike.
I got a lot of bad ones.
There's
I got a lot of bad
Mike
ones.
there are
Bane.
plenty of those.
Mike Bain.
Oh man.
Mike Bane is good.
Mike Bane.
Just anything with Mike. Just
Tad,
Mike in
Tad
front.
Mike.
Mike Binks. Terrible.
Mike Binks.
Oh, there's
Emperor
Joker
Mike.
ones.
Emperor Micatine.
Micatine.
Yeah.
There you
Mike
go.
Windu.
Mike.
Mike
Ooh,
Windu.
that's not bad.
Darth Mike.
Darth Mike. Mike Windu.
Oh my goodness.
Mike Windu's decent enough.
Mike Windu. Mace Windu. Ah, it's so
It's
close
just
yet
not-
so far.
Is there a Michael that's a better one?
There's Jedi Michael Diaz. No, it's like Cypher Diaz, but
It's an
a
I.
big stretch.
Michael Diaz.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Mike DeLorean.
Did we cover everything that we
Nope. Just get started.
Nope.
I think we just run on into our 6:30 and just keep it rolling. Although you got to go. It's like
Yeah.
snowing like a bantha out there.
Like a bantha.
Like
Oh,
a,
it's snowing like a panther. What does that even mean?
everything is like
Like
a
a
bantha.
Snowing like a bantha out there.
Having
Snowing
dinner,
like a
eating like a
bantha.
bantha.
That's true.
Man.
I guess
Snowing
we'll
like a
do,
rancor.
we'll do it
Final
to wrap it up.
predictions.
Yeah.
Final predictions before we wrap it up.
For the finale.
For the finale.
Gosh.
Do we think it tops this chapter or the
Yes.
last two chapters?
Tops is in what way?
As in, you would say it's
As
your
in better.
favorite chapter of the
As in
season.
better.
Isn't bad.
I can't be clear.
Will the finale be your favorite? Here you go. Will the finale be your favorite chapter of the season?
Ooh. I think it will be.
Man.
Really?
Just because I have faith in the show. I will say, I don't know.
I love today's.
I do too.
can it
I do
be?
too. I don't know if it can because I
What's
don't think we're gonna get much more Luke, if any more Luke, in the next one. And
True,
I,
but is Luke
this Luke-
is Luke enough to? I don't know.
I don't know. I told you that I've been daydreaming of that technology all day
I
of,
know,
of
that's
Luke and what
true.
that means for the future of Star Wars. But I will say, Tamora Morrison said that he said this a few weeks back that he is very proud of the show and he thinks that the finale will blow people's minds. He
I
said the
think-
finale is crazy.
I
That's what he said.
think it'll be. I love this episode. I even went as far to say that it was one of my favorite 45-minute
In
spans in
all?
all of Star Wars, including the movies. I think it was
Wow.
just they touched on a lot of points, regardless of it being whatever you guys think of it being under the Book of Boba Fett, because I know he wasn't in it a lot. But just Star Wars as a whole, that was I
And
love
that's
this.
the-
Just
I think that might
storyline,
be the
I
shift.
Loved it.
We got to
Loved it.
shift to thinking
Yeah.
that they're
Just everything.
This is
all,
this is a chapter
under
in
the
the story of Star Wars, and I
exactly.
with Boba Fett at
loved
the
it.
at the
This was a
top.
chapter
Yeah.
of Star Wars, and I think it was one of my favorite 45 minutes of all of Star Wars. Now,
Whoa.
because of what you said about Timon Morrison, and just the fact that I don't think they would have such a big episode if they weren't confident in the finale. I don't know if they would have put everything in this episode if they weren't that confident about the finale.
Are we? Before I say that, are we feeling like there's a Book of Boba Fett season 2?
That I don't know. I don't know if there will be or if they'll just try to continue to integrate this Boba into other projects.
I think there will be.
Think they'll announce season 2 Book of
I
Boba?
think there will be because it allows them to expand in areas that Mando alone
Can't do.
maybe can't,
I agree.
or
I agree.
Obi-Wan can't, or Ahsoka can't.
So do you think we'll end with
Yep.
Boba Fett will return or something like that
I think so.
type of thing? Like Boba Fett will
I
return.
can
or
see
the
that.
Do
Book
we
of
have-
Boba Fett will
Season two.
return.
Any word about views or ratings or anything on this? Have we?
I haven't
any of
even
that
looked.
stuff
I haven't,
yet?
no.
I haven't even
If
looked.
anybody's up on that, I'd be curious to know
Yeah. What the
Yeah.
viewership
what
is?
because I don't know they get Do they get numbers like that this quick?
I don't know.
I
They
don't
know.
think
They
so.
know how
Like, if
people
they
are
know how
streaming.
many-
I
I
haven't
know.
looked. I looked at Twitter as soon as I watched it live, and everyone was just freaking out about the episode. But since then, I haven't looked up reviews. I haven't looked at what anybody else thought about this chapter. I haven't looked at
Yeah.
anything. But with all that said, I think I have faith in the story. I could be wrong, but I think the finale will be my favorite of the of the season.
Yeah, I think so.
Especially, I'm excited. I mean, I love the last 2 chapters. They were probably so far my 2 favorite chapters, even though Boba wasn't in it. I am excited to see Boba's wrap up in the finale. Obviously, I feel like he's going to be heavily involved. So, riding a Rancor, whatever it is, I'm excited to see.
I
see
can't
all
wait
that.
to see what's coming.
We are going to have a gathering of
I don't know.
is a hive of scum and villainy.
Darth said, I don't know if there will
Scum
be
and
a season
villainy.
2, but surely tomorrow will not be done with Star Wars. I don't know if there will be or
Yeah.
not. But either way, he'll be involved.
I think that there's.
for
It's not the end of
moving
Boba
forward.
Fett's storytelling.
Yeah, true. Agreed.
Maybe not, but
I think it'll be, but it could be. There could be another season. I think it'll be the best. At least
It's hard.
personally.
It's hard
a
to say
personal
because they
thing.
have so many other projects that you already know are in development and that are coming down the pike.
True.
It's
The
just
Pike Syndicate.
Oh, did I
coming
just
down the
solve it?
syndicate? You just figured it out.
Yeah, it's a trilogy of
Part of
seasons.
my
coming out
my
nice.
thinking is that Boba Fett is such. Do you really think Favreau's going to just go? Yeah, that's good. You gave me basically 4.5.
That's true.
You gave me
'Cause he's
4.5
wanted Boba
chapters.
all
I'm happy
along.
with that. For
He's
my
been
entire
loving it.
life. I don't think so.
I think
think
you're
so
right. I
either.
think they're more looking for just
We've barely
continue
scratched the surface.
continue expanding all these shows. I don't think
Boba-
they're ready to wrap up.
Boba
any yet.
hasn't even evolved as a person yet. We don't even know what his mission is. I just feel like
It does feel like we're
if
still
it
scratching the
stops
surface.
now,
I agree.
Yeah.
If
I
it
agree.
stops now, it's definitely a financial decision because something wasn't working. It's not the story because there's so
Yeah.
much to unpack.
I agree.
Past, future, connections.
Is that a prediction then? Boba season 2?
Boba season 2? I'm a yes.
Well, because as far as him as a crime lord, if they win,
It
if
would
they
be
win this
exactly
battle,
what-
it's just
we
set up
still
to
don't
do
really
it.
get to
Here
see
we-
anything of how he is as a crime
He's
lord
just set
afterwards.
up
Right? It's
now.
just good. I got rid of the people that were
Got it.
clearly
And he didn't
adversaries,
even
but
get
now
rid
what?
of the people who are in charge yet.
Yeah.
It's-
I got
it's-
it. Ready?
There's more coming.
It's
man.
exactly what Hamill said about to Lucas of we just built the original trilogy of
He's
me
turned me
becoming
into a
a
Jedi, and now I don't.
and
do
now
it.
we don't get to see the continuation of my story, which now they're coming back.
Now
to
we're
it.
getting to see.
Now they know that Boba, we're seeing him becoming this crime lord, and then if it just ends right when he gets it, we're gonna see it play out some too.
I have a bigger prediction as
I
well.
think we'll see it season 2. I'm on board. What's up?
In the next 5 years,
5 years. I love
I
it.
love it.
Where's this going? I love it.
Luke Skywalker series.
Chat, you can give us thumbs up or thumbs down in the
I
comments.
think the tech is there,
Let us know. Join in.
and you
I
just
will-
said it. We haven't explored that enough,
I will say, I think that if you had asked me before today's episode,
for sure.
my
I wouldn't
thumb
even
would be
thought
going
it.
in a different direction.
I wouldn't even thought.
I
it.
agree.
Just because I would say that it's just not ready yet.
I think where they'll be in 5 years. 1, 2, 3.
I just think
oh
that
How
my
can
it's
it not be?
gosh. Let's see your
I cannot. It's a great way to wrap the pod today. I cannot emphasize
that.
enough how much I think they hit a grand slam with how
The tech.
much I was bought into Luke in this whole episode. Everything he said was like, I can't believe it. It might as well have been lost footage from 1983.
Mhm.
That all of a sudden I was like, wait, this is.
How they get?
How did they
this?
get this? How
Yeah.
did they film this stuff? How did
Mhm.
they? It felt like I'm watching Mark Hamill in his younger self, Luke in his prime, post all of the stuff with Vader, and now he's starting his Jedi Academy
Yeah.
that I've dreamed about, read books about. Again, we mentioned Heir of the Empire earlier. That's like I always wonder what is Luke up to,
Mhm.
and we know what happens to Luke later in his life. We've always wondered what happens in this Luke prime, in his prime training Jedi, and getting as much we got today was like.
Hamill's
I
on
could
board.
watch 20 hours of this.
Right?
Yeah.
Favreau's out there going, you guys realize how much work it was to get this thing done? We've been working on this for 2 years.
2 years.
How are we going to make a show based on it?
Yeah.
I
But I think it'll be awesome.
I think yeah.
Favreau
I
loves
agree.
pushing the tech forward. He's got that Lucas
Yeah,
gene in
that's
him
true, he
about
does, for
creating the
sure.
whole volume was like,
for sure.
that's no small feat. That
they created
changed
a
the
whole
whole.
other technology for the Mark Hamill face stuff.
Yeah, they just like,
Why-
oh, we don't know how to do this, so we'll just invent it.
Well,
That's
if we're
the-
doing
the
this,
George
why
Lucas
couldn't we
thing.
have the Book of Han Solo? Why couldn't we do that?
Totally.
Why can't we do? Although
It's
in
harder
all
when
fairness,
someone's
Leia
passed away. Yeah.
doesn't have a
Yeah.
exciting story arc. Other
Oh,
than
as far
the
as-
senator and all that stuff, but it's not like
Yeah.
she's out smuggling. She's
Yeah.
princess.
Training.
But there may
It'd
be
be
a
a good
whole lot of
political-
stuff there. Once she gets to that
Yeah.
training point, there's a whole lot.
It'd
of
also
stuff.
be a great political thriller of. I've read some books and stuff of Leia post.
Yeah.
Leia post Return of the Jedi. One of the big things that happens in canon is that
yes.
word gets out
That she's
that she's Vader's daughter,
Yeah.
and it causes a world of trouble of people that are like, well, you can't be a political leader. You're
No way,
oh,
you're
we don't
connected to
know
the
what
evil-
happened to him in his final moments. Your brother Luke says he turned and came back.
What's true?
This is the
what's
guy who
not.
murdered billions.
Yeah.
You are done.
Yeah.
And there's this big thing of keeping the secret and all that stuff. And again, that's
Yeah.
maybe wishful thinking, but there's so much stuff
everything.
that they
is
can
open.
do with.
Everything is open now.
It
with
is. I like
anything.
what Darth said here. He said, I think in the scene after the credits in the finale, they will show what decision Grogu made and thus advertise season 3 of Mando. That's a possibility too.
That is a
Yeah.
possibility.
I could definitely
could.
see that.
He
It
also
kind of makes more sense than having him be in the battle.
could be.
Do we all think that they tee up something new
Something.
at the end of Book of Boba? Whether it's a following season, whether it's even just like basically essentially what they did with Mando season 2, the end of it with the Book of Boba little post credit scene gathered so much excitement, and it told us what we have to look forward to. And I know we have all these other projects, and we've said before it doesn't really make sense that they would tease in this show. Oh, by the way, here's Obi-Wan, just because it's even a different creator who's doing it and stuff like that as far as Deborah Chow. But teeing up either something future with Boba or future with Mando and Grogu.
I would say Mando is a possibility. I'm just thinking about where they are. Battle takes place on Tatooine, and we have a dissolve that says something like, what would be the time frame? 25 years ago.
Oh, talking about to tee up Obi-Wan.
And it's an Obi-Wan in the same
It's on the same
exact
planet.
shot.
place. Same place. We find ourselves fading across to a moisture evaporator on the deserts of Tatooine, and it fades to an older time. It's the same thing, and now we move into an Obi-Wan.
And you
track.
just get someone. You just see a little campfire and someone hunched over, and he just pulls down the hood, and you just see one still shot of, or one
Holding-
just kind of
holding a
looking at the
baby.
camera or something. And he's
Ewan McGregor.
Ewan McGregor. The
Here's why
Obi-Wan
I
trailer
think
is coming
that-
soon.
Oh,
The only
man.
reason I think that is because it would make sense to hype that because it's the next.
It's the next
We
thing.
believe. Do we know?
Well, Bad Batch, I believe in that.
Bad Batch is the next. Yeah.
But live
Well,
the
action.
live
next
action.
live action is.
I believe so.
We're assuming it's the next one.
Yeah,
Probably
I
is.
believe it's all but essentially confirmed.
So I think Mando makes a lot more sense in that. But the timing wise for promotion,
True.
it would be great to have an
I
Obi-Wan
yeah.
in that moment.
I think we'll get
Yeah.
something.
Maybe something.
I think they'll tease
I
something.
think we.
Mando makes
I
a
do
lot
think-
of sense.
I think they'll
I
tease
do think
something.
we'll get
It
something.
could even be just Boba Fett season 2, or Boba will return in season 2, and then
Could
we're
be.
all like, "Oh, season 2." I don't know. I think they'll reveal something.
I still
though.
think they can wrap up Boba's story, and
Yeah.
Just seems like a lot's still there.
it,
Yeah.
take this 2-episode tangent and then it'd be over.
Yeah,
Can't-
I'm with you on
can't
that.
be
It doesn't
over.
feel like they're able to, or that
John's-
we get
John's-
a good
Yeah.
enough glimpse into. And I don't think they accidentally are like, oh dang, well we ran out of time to tell the story.
Favreau's been waiting his entire life to tell Boba Fett's
I
story.
Yeah.
know. You think
Yeah.
he only came up with a short
There's no-
story? No, he's
there's
got
no
a
way
lot
we're
of
done.
stuff.
No.
Yeah.
I don't think so either.
I also like going off that. Darth's last comment was, "I'm telling you, Boba will be the head of the galactic underworld at the end of the story." That'd be crazy.
Yes.
Really
Definitely
seeing him
could see
take on
that.
the crime lord thing and advance outside of just Tatooine.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I love it. Could morph into something else too.
Tatooine.
Like Boba, it's a different type of show. Maybe it's not called Book of Boba. It's something else with a whole big criminal underworld scene. There's a lot of stuff. I don't think the Boba story is done.
I think they could call it the TV show of Boba Fett.
I like it. The
They
podcast
should. That
of
actually
Boba
makes
Fett.
more. That's more fitting.
Ooh. Yeah.
True.
The show of Boba Fett.
And his
The
many,
Disney Plus
and-
streaming
and his
series of
cast
Boba
of
Fett.
characters.
Oh,
Boba's
I don't know.
shenanigans.
Boba.
Any other Boba
Boba!
Betts? Any other Boba Betts? I said Rancor.
Rancor. Mhm.
I think we'll finally get the riding of the Rancor. And a big villainous reveal.
Here's a question: who's gonna die? Somebody's
Mm.
gonna die. We can't all just be happy at the end of this next one in a battle. Who's gonna die?
The mayor.
The mayor.
The mayor.
I
the mayor-
think we
Majordomo.
lose. We might lose some of the mods.
I can see some mods dying.
Definitely, there's a little Trump in there. I heard.
The mods.
We could
We
lose.
could-
what-
You
Well, we
look at
could
these
lose
mods.
some of the mods. You know, some are good and some are not so good.
You
when
look at these
the
mods, and they're expendable. They're totally expendable because we could just find more and we could build more. We could build them with all the
some of them, when you look at them, some of them are plastic. You know, some are plastic and some are machine. And we love machines, folks. We make more mods at the factory. I
Just
think.
ask Vader. Ask Vader. He loves machine. He's totally machine.
More machine now than man, they told me. And, you know, we're looking into it strongly and bigly, the mods. We love the mods. We do well with the mods, folks.
Do well with
Mods
the
love us.
The mods love us. I think
We
the
do well
mods
with
are-
the lowly modified. We do well
do
with
good
the
with
highly
highly
modified. Don't we
Oh
love
my
the
God.
lowly modified?
Oh my goodness.
Oh, man.
gosh, off
Ooh,
the rails.
Darth.
Well, that's a question. Will there be a Trump season 2? I don't know.
Oh
Those-
gosh.
Off the rails.
Darth. Cad Bane will die.
I was
That's
wondering.
bold. I said there would be a showdown. Maybe
I was
he does.
wondering.
We did say it's hard. How do we say that,
How do
that
they
either
address
Boba
each
or
other?
Mando doesn't die, but Cad Bane
Unless
survives?
Cad has a showdown with someone else that's not Boba, but someone, I don't know.
If they do have a showdown,
Black
someone's
Chrysanthemum
going
or
down.
something.
It just
then
makes
they-
me think, though, how does this war end with Cad Bane still alive? Or other
I
than
think
just like
we
he's like, I'm out of
follow-
this.
Van
I think we
dies.
follow the main trajectory. Lots of pikes go down.
I think Van.
Yeah,
Lots of
pikes.
incendiary. We lose a mod or two.
Van. I think he survived this episode,
Cut Van.
comes
That's
back
it.
in the war, and dies.
We are gonna lose. We are gonna get the townspeople. They're gonna send them out like fodder.
Mm.
You Russian.
They're just mowed down.
But none of the mains. I don't think any of the mains are gonna die.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think Van though will. Is he a main?
He wasn't.
No. I think he might go
Cad
out.
Bane could go. That'd be sad.
He could
It'd be
go.
sad.
That would be sad. We just got introduced.
got
to
him.
There's a lot of
on
evil
live
there to
action.
explore.
There's a lot. Oh, man. Yeah, there's a
The
lot.
mayor,
there.
maybe.
The mayor's
Ooh.
off-world, though.
I think he's gone.
Is he though?
I don't
In
feel
one
like the
sense he
mayor is
is, but
actually
I
going to
don't
be
know.
front and center fighting, though. He feels very much like a politician.
That's
Type
true.
of a,
That's true.
He
We
was
got
he
some
was a
deaths in
puppet.
this one. That place blew
Literally
up.
a puppet. What?
little puppet.
So we got some deaths in this one. The place blew up. We lost
Yeah,
a lot
Garza.
of people.
She died.
We
Yeah.
did.
Jennifer
That was
Beals
sad.
character.
I don't think
Flash
Black
dance.
Chrysanthemum's going anywhere.
No
she
more.
is a maniac.
I don't think Black Chrysanthemum's going anywhere. I also think he'll be in the Obi-Wan
He can't
show.
die. His
I
name
know
can't-
that's in the past, but I
he
don't
can't-
think he'll be in the
Yeah, he
no,
can't be
Uncle means
killed.
he physically can't
He
be
can't
killed.
be killed.
physically cannot be killed. He is
can't
the
be
Hulk.
killed. It just
Can't
makes
be
him
killed.
mad. Kill him, he'll just get mad at you.
Yeah.
What's your trick? What's your secret? I'm always angry.
right.
Yeah, I don't think he's
Man.
down. Maybe
just
Boba
can't
dies. I'm just kidding.
Boba dies, and that's how it ends. Roll the credits.
Roll the
They
credits.
got two side stories,
And the book
two
closes.
side episodes. That
It
It
were
pulls
gonna
back
just
like
Boba.
Shrek, and the book closes.
Yeah. Extract.
And that was the story of how I met.
Can you feel
Oh my
the
gosh.
love? And then the credits are
Just-
rolling, and they're flashing back
Could you
to
imagine if
Boba's, Boba's fun times on the sands of Tatooine.
That was it.
and then he's just buried next to all the sand people. Man. So
Oh,
sad.
they start playing
Happy
Smash
face.
Mouth. Yeah, Smash Mouth starts playing at the end as, "Hey now, you're a Mando."
You're my wonder wall.
Ooh, what if Fennec dies? I don't know.
I
if
thought of
will-
Fennec.
I thought of Fennec too, but I don't think she.
Ah,
They
will.
built her. I
no.
thought that would have a lot of emotional weight, but I think they built her up as such a beloved character. I couldn't see her
I don't
just
see
doing
that.
it
There's
right
too
now.
much to explore. I
Yeah.
think.
Too much to explore. Plus, I would think they still want to develop her as like a strong muscle character for Boba because she's doing a lot of stuff, taking people out, taking out
Right.
the assassins.
She's too
and-
much fun. I do
She's
think all
awesome.
the mains on either side won't
Yeah.
die.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
So this will be some war with no death.
It's some
kidding.
more.
gonna be
with no
awesome.
I
death.
don't know. Just all the unknown pikes.
Well, I
Pikes
mean-
and
Well,
mods.
truce.
Han, Luke, Chewie, Leia.
I know, that's
Lando,
how it
they
always
never even got
is.
shot.
That's
ever.
how it always. Yeah.
That's true.
These blasts
That's how it
too
always
accurate
is.
for sand people. Only
Bane
Imperial
and Boba both
stormtroopers
just
are
whip
this
out these
accurate.
blasters and then just go back. Truce.
Yeah, right.
They just play one big game of maybe Han does
Well,
show up. They
Sabacc.
play one big game of Sabacc.
Sabacc.
Han and Lando have nothing to do with the current conflict. Play Sabacc again for the Millennium Falcon, but they have to bet, and the Pikes bet on Han, and they bet on.
Oh, it's
they
like
just
the end
bet,
of
and it's
Casino
just all
Royale.
this.
It's
It's
exactly
it.
like that.
Yeah.
Off the
And
rip.
they
Everyone's
poison
got the
He almost dies.
100 million in the pot. Casino Royale is the one guy
Man,
narrates the exposition
I don't know
for us,
what's.
tells us.
I think this is.
I play a
just
lot
think
of
it's gonna be
poker.
crazy. I think it's gonna be crazy.
Never seen anything like that before. I just watched Casino Royale last night again, and
Great
Great
movie.
one.
come on. You get trips beat by a full house, beat by a higher full house, beat by quads,
the
and
greatest,
then, and then beat by a straight flush or flat.
Come on. Who wrote
Like,
that?
that's not
That
usually-
is the definition of a bad beat.
You're like usually
I'm the fourth best hand with a full house. Are you kidding me?
you're like usually 3 of a kind would take it.
That's
I'm
it.
good. Yeah.
Right.
Man,
I'm all in. I'm all in.
I don't know.
Man.
I'm all in
I can't wait.
Anything
on
else?
Boba Fett.
I am too.
I'm
Anything
all in,
else?
too. I just can't
Bets?
wait.
Any bets?
Yeah, I'm
No?
all out of
I
calamari
can't- I don't
flam.
know if I'm going to be able to wait.
Yeah, I know.
I
All
just
right,
don't know.
well.
I can't wait. I can't wait. I'll
As
be dreaming
always-
of deep fake Luke.
Yeah, more deep fake Luke. As always, thanks for tuning in. I
Oh.
know,
The change in the Instagram. Tell him.
yeah, good,
Sorry.
good reminder. Instagram,
shouted
where
that.
we always say you guys can reach out to us with messages and connect with us so that we can use those into our live show and our live podcast. The _ Star Wars Guys is no more. It is now just Star Wars Guys Pod.
Ooh.
Star Wars
It's
Guys
clean.
Pod.
I didn't know that.
No underscore.
No wonder I couldn't find us.
Like I've been trying to
I've
watch
been
our
telling
stuff.
everybody.
I mean, I just show up and they just say, turn that on, start talking. They don't tell me anything.
I was just saying, I saw Uncle's ears perk up. I go, by the way, tell him about the change. Or Uncle, what? I'm
Change.
part of this crew. I provided the
What? Off the rails. I love it.
Two?
Star Wars Guys Pod on Instagram.
I like
Reach out
that.
to us. Let us know your thoughts on the episode. Also, with Boba Fett wrapping up next week, let us know in advance. What do you guys want us to cover when we get back to our regular Star Wars Guys segment when we're not covering Boba Fett? Let us know what episodes you want to cover. Give us. It could be a topic, a character, a moment of a show,
Yeah.
a movie, whatever. And we'll discuss it, break it down in an episode. As always,
I want to add one thing too.
Oh,
At the very
not as always.
at the very
As new.
end,
as
it's
new.
burning. I want to tell you what I found. At the very end, go ahead.
Yeah.
After the quote. Those of you who stuck around, I'll reveal what I.
Oh,
I
the
can't
big
stand
reveal?
It. I can't stand it. Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
All
All right.
right.
All right. So if you want to stick around, the reveal.
Nate might not stick around.
I may not stick around.
You-
Okay. So
Uncle and I can talk off
I
air too
hate
because
this.
I think that we're on the same page as to
we
what
are.
it
oh
might
my
be.
gosh. All right. Well, you can reach out to us Instagram, Star Wars Guys Pod. And thanks for everyone that tuned in live. We know the time was different with the weather. We had to kind of push it up. So there's probably a lot of people that may have not been able to tune in live. So if you're watching it back, thanks for watching it back. Tell your friends about the podcast. Let them know it'll be archived. It'll be live on YouTube moving forward. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being engaging in chat. We'll see you guys next time. And as always, may the Force be with you.
Quick little bugger. Quick little bugger.
All right, for those of you who stuck around, what I discovered on the Internet Movie Database, the huge character reveal for Chapter 7 is none other than